Well, looky here. Looky here. I'm back, everybody. 3 hours after Cofield and Company is over. I said at 5:02 Pacific time that I was getting punchy. I had a lot of coffee today, Petro. A lot of coffee. I kept refilling it. Oh, yeah. By 5:02, I was bouncing off the friggin' walls. I'm still in that zone. The caffeine is flowing through my veins, baby. Flowing and flowing and flowing. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I have no major complaints, right? What would I be upset about?
You never know, man. Never know. With both of us, it's powder kegs. You could get upset in the next 5 minutes. I don't know what's coming. It's unpredictable.
I was just telling you, man. I had a great day. I started off with 3.5 hours of setting up a computer for my mom. I mean, that's bliss. 79 years old, on the phone with the computer folks, and she's over my shoulder. No, it scrolls up. It scrolls up. We're not talking about scrolling. We're not. It literally, like that insurance commercial, like turn it into your parents, like that, right. like super helpful with no suggestion that has anything to do with what I'm actually trying to accomplish at that point with the computer. Fantastic start to the day. Fantastic. I'm sorry. Let me back up. There was the fight I walked in on in the midst of my wife and my 10 and 14-year-old daughters as I was getting ready to take them to school. That was the opener. Then I rolled on down to my mom's house, and then it was computer gate for 3.5 hours. That's cool. That's cool. Got to mail back the one that didn't work that I tried to set up before. Stand in line, 50 pounds of computer on my shoulder, some fat ass leaning against the only table in the mail place to where I could. I'm like, do you see me here? This is not a 50-pound boombox next to my head here. I'm hoisting a computer. I recognize your girth is supported nicely by that table, but why don't you move your fat ass and I can set the computer down for a second? But I'm good, Steve.
Yes, I just wanted to see what else happened. Could be something that really triggers it.
I'm good, man. How about you?
I've got a lot of props tonight. So first of all, I like your computer talk. Can you come out here as soon to set up my new computer?
I'd love to. Now that I'm an expert. There. You're not going Mac, huh?
Bought that on 11/28, Black Friday.
Still in the box.
Of 2019.
You're full of shit. No way.
No, it is. It's I haven't opened it, and it's over a year old. So now it's already.
It's outdated. You're literally gonna buy something and throw it away.
Now, it's a big upgrade because the computer I'm on now is like 5 years old. It's very full. It's very full. You know when it starts running heavy, it feels like it's full. Tons of porn. It's one of those. I'm just afraid. Changing the computer is like a big transition. Especially, I have a lot of audio, and I like every day. I'm like, yeah, today's the day. Holy shit! No, it's not. Can't do it.
You just
separation problems.
No, you do it the first weekend. The first weekend, man.
I know.
That's it. I seriously like you're not under the max.
No.
For audio, video, isn't that where everyone's supposed to be?
Probably.
I'm sure it's massive overkill for what I do, but like I will tell you, when you go from one to the other, it's usually pretty good.
That's I can't even divorce my old computer. You think I'm gonna marry some new broad named Mac? I can't do it, man. And here's the thing: if I hear a bad story about a product, I'm done for life. Like I have a college friend, did radio with him, bought a Volkswagen like 12 years ago, told me all these horror stories. I'm like, nope, VW's out. Of all the guys, Koken actually bought a Mac laptop, and he got completely effed on it. It just lemon, right? It just did not last. So he got screwed out of a good amount of money. I'm like, nope, done with Mac. Can't do it. That's all it takes.
We're dripping an Apple around here. It's what empowers me anytime I have to call tech support to be like, all right, listen, I recognize you have big companies, but screw you. We got enough devices around here. Let's go. Let's make some shit work. And they do. They actually have tech support.
Here's the other thing. You mentioned the insurance commercial, trying to train people not to be their parents. That moment, I think it's in like the third generation commercial where they're like, or the doctor goes, "It's time to open a PDF," and everyone starts like backing up, and he's like, "Okay, all right, we got something to work."
I love those. They're fantastic.
This shit right here, no external hard drive. What? Huh?
Dude, you have to have it. Like I back my computer up every so often, right? Every couple of weeks, and then you're on the cloud. I'm telling you, like literally, that's what makes it doable. We had to corrupt the computer, but I'll be honest, Apple sent me a new one for my mom, and so I mean, it sucked. Like going through the process, they try to walk you through. Like when it's not a pandemic, you just walk into their store and you go, "Here's my old one," and they go, "Okay," and then they give you, "Here's your new one and your old one, or do you want to turn it in for whatever?" And then it's all set up. But it really isn't that hard as long as the machine is working. But they stood behind it, sent it, and gave me a couple bucks back for the trouble.
Justin Watkins checking in. I feel like every member of the Cofield and Company, technically it's called the Vegas Sports Talk Uncensored family, gets on here looped up, and they just like weird comments.
I've gotten on and fired some shots.
And you were looped up. And when JVT comes in,
actually not. No.
Okay. You're just fired up.
Yeah, fired up.
All right. Well,
so let's go.
I'll work on this. We had a big computer issue on our Tuesday show. Dude, Alex Crawford, who does the show, had a lot of trouble in LA because he moved from Orange County to LA and was having a boatload of trouble with his internet. Someone on here, you on here tonight? I can't remember tonight. I literally can't remember what fucking show I'm doing. Pardon my French, but yeah, our friend's not in here tonight, but we had one of the folks in our chat room give Alex some advice. Completely fixed everything. Then who came in the other day with the mention of Nest, right? Someone mentioned Nest Google Wi-Fi, and they were like, I got to thank that guy. So there's like a little community about computers, but that's the first time I've introed my massive fear of just setting up a new computer and lack of knowledge on clouds. Does anyone want to cloud my cassettes from 2004? Can someone do that for me?
You got to just throw them away and give it up, man. Like, stop hoarding. You're a freaking hoarder now.
Oh, dude, it's ridiculous.
You know what I did this like during when I was off for a week around Christmas? I threw away every CD I own.
Of old sound?
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna have
old music.
Oh, okay. I'm not doing that either. I was actually just talking the other day to the SO. We were driving somewhere, and the Ramones came on, and I'm like, yep, I've got a cassette of them in the garage.
You'll do what with it?
I'm gonna use it someday. There's gonna be the Cofield Library of Memories.
4 years from now,
house big enough and go, here's the Cofield Library. Here's all the radio audio. Here's the St. Joe's Rutgers game I did when I was 19.
4 years from now, when you die of either an aneurysm, stroke, or heart attack, and Adam and I are cleaning out your house, we're just going to shovel all that shit into the trash, man.
No.
We're not saving like, we'll get together every week and listen to the hits of Cofield, and we'll toast Steve Cofield. All that shit. We'll take a snow shovel and just shovel it into the trash.
You're right on the heart attack, the aneurysm, or something else, but there's a better chance at this entire office just caving in on me and burying me. And they'll find me after a week and be, I'll be holding a mini disc from 1997 Sports Fan Radio Network interview with, I don't know, Bob Arum or something.
It's all out there, man. There's no point. Just get rid of that shit.
It's out of control. I do have some YouTube stuff. I have a lot of old videos, and obviously we're posting this to YouTube. So yeah, my archives on YouTube are decent, but I got a lot of work to do. This is a full-time job to organize.
I know that but you like the first key to organize is throwing away.
I know.
I'm gonna get around and I'm gonna file 17 years of shit. I'm gonna do it next weekend though.
Yeah.
I'm swamped this week.
I got to Sunday morning and I was like, yep, today's the day. Going to be doing some house cleaning. And then the SO was like, yeah, I invited a couple of friends over to hang out. We'll distance out. I'm like, all right, well, there goes the plan. Now I'm more weeks behind in my organization. Thanks a lot. It's a nightmare.
Put up the bottom. I think it's please is what that's supposed to be. No, I'm not. But
you ain't coming out to clean Cofield's house, and Adam definitely ain't getting in.
100% correct, but it sounds good for the story. I mean, to make the joke work, it has to be like, oh, he's a caring guy. He's going to come out and he's going to clean out his shit. No, I mean, I just, one less guy I got to see when I go to Vegas.
I have 2 rooms for couches, but I have 4 couches. A normal family of 2 only needs a washer and a dryer. I've got 2 washers and 2 dryers. A normal family
one up
only
and one down.
No, the old washer dryer is just sitting in the garage.
It's like no.
Dude, it's out of control. I've talked about this problem before. I know it's not, I don't believe there's mouse droppings or a dead cat in here yet, but it could be at some point.
All right,
that's some sick shit. Have you ever watched Hoarders?
Yes.
It's craziness.
Yes.
That's craziness.
Just leave that. That's a subject. Not personally, but maybe somebody who lives in my house has had a brush with that issue.
I don't know. Yeah, it can happen.
Not in my house. Not in my house.
My grandmother was like that. My grandmother on my mom's side, she was crazy. She had a lot of shit.
Yeah. It has inspired my wife to not be like some people she knows.
Yeah. I mean, this is a weird question. Do you have 3 rooms for TVs? Every room is for a TV.
That's right. What is that?
And believe me, don't get on me for TVs, because I will say I've got one in here that I never use, but I've got a 60 that's just sitting in a room that hasn't
unopened.
No, that was an old one. It hasn't been used for like 3 years, but it works fine. But I think my total working TV count is let's see, 5, 6, 7. I think
it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Okay, yeah, it's a lot. You're talking about TVs?
I'm not talking about TVs.
Don't even start. You got way more than 7.
I'm not talking TVs.
I would, because Black Friday I would buy TVs all the time. I would have. I really would have TVs in all 3 of the shitters.
The bathroom, I draw the line. It's not going in the bathroom.
I need multiple. I need a TV wall outside. I would definitely have a TV in the garage if I actually fixed anything, or I could clean out the goddamn garage.
Trust me. I mean, 100%. Like I've got too many TVs, and I can give you 10 more spots I want to put them. So trust me. Yeah, no problem.
It never ends.
Never ends. Applause Custom Sight and Sound. Call them. They'll hook you up like it's nobody's business.
That's my hope, is that I've always wanted an audio-visual client in Vegas. So I need to get one, because I would pimp the hell out of that.
You've seen the kind of work the guys do, because I've had them do like 5 or 6 different jobs.
Petro setups are sick.
Okay, so they had a guy who he moved to New Mexico from here and bought some millionaire type guy, multi-million-dollar house. And he flew the whole crew out and put them up to build everything at his house in New Mexico. That's how good he thought they were. He flew them out and said, "Here, go to work." They're awesome.
Yeah, Justin, with this one, put all your shit in the driveway and post free on Craigslist. It'll all be gone by the end of the day. I do that.
Is that illegal? Is that legal advice there? Is that what that is?
Well, you know what? Here in Vegas, because I'm in the rough part of the whatever. Here in Vegas, you don't have to put free on and post free on Craigslist. You put it outside. There are people riding around with pickup trucks. They just pick your shit up. Like, it'll never get to the garbage truck. This, I don't know if you can, so you can barely see this chair. This chair behind me was one of this Black Friday's purchases. The chair I had before that, I had busted like 9 months before that, and like it was like fat ass, like cracked the back, and it just was like constantly, permanently like leaned back. I kept that chair for like 9 months. I'm like, I'm gonna fix it, man. I'm gonna fix it. It was in the corner. Then I had like this little baby chair that I would sit on that was like a backbreaker. But here's the thing: to go with hoarding is also my cheapness. That chair I had since 2002. I had it for 18 years. Before that, it was the office chair at Sports Fan Radio Network of our friend Ryan Williams.
Yeah. Strong.
22 years with a chair. I've got a problem, man.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you getting long life out of it, but like when it's done, it's done.
Dumpster sounds like a smart solution. That's the sick part is if you get the mega dump, if you get like there's 2 different size dumpsters, I think if you get the mini dumpster and then you fucking fill it and you're like, oh my God.
There is no point to the mini dumpster.
I have a sickness now. You may as well get the big one.
Get the big one. Go out because it inspires you to put more shit in there because you don't want to be like, wait a minute, I pissed away so much money on this thing. So you will go find the shit that really needs to be put away and throw it in there.
Cameron, oh man, we haven't. You know what's funny? We have we're not going to do it, but we have 2 hours of show material, and we haven't even gotten to it yet.
Oh, we haven't started.
We actually haven't started with it yet.
Think about. But thanks for checking in, Cam.
Yeah. By the way, Brent is our Twitter/Periscope feed sucks. All right, yeah, I think he came back on YouTube. All right, well, at least YouTube's working. Yeah, I think we're gonna. I know Periscope's gone bye, so I'm hoping Twitter Live or whatever they do is gonna work.
We'll see. I'll leave that up to you.
Cameron's going to help a friend clear shit out of their garage.
Just check the next one too.
Wow. Okay. Turkey Dude says it's okay.
Out goes Cam, in comes Kirky Dude. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Oh wow. Well, this is interesting. So last night we had a lesson in prep. I'm not really going to get into the details, but we have some other people who are doing the show, and I try to go with the Cofield method, be the Cofield hosting tree. Very big on prep. I don't ever want to get to a point where I'm like, ooh, we have nothing else to talk about. So Brady, who's kind of our pseudo producer, he'll go look up stories real quick on the fly as we're developing the show. Now he's going to throw us topics. I think this could actually be. Is this serious, or did I make some reference to a dog earlier? He says, "Need Cofield, Petro, and Late Night Crew to name my new dog." All right, I don't know.
Is that a Knights hat on?
It is. Yeah.
Trying to see if I can glean anything about him. Looked like he had a kid too.
He did.
So fucko's not going to work, right?
No. Here, fucko. What kind of dog is it? He's got a golden doodle. It's not. Oh, it is a golden doodle. Have a dog named Witten, like Jason already. Okay.
Cowboy fan. Dak. There you go. Move on.
3 kids under 8 needs Cowboys or Knights theme. Petro said Dak. Move on.
Emmett. Anything. Troy. Aikman.
When you go classic cowboy and try to find it'll be like an inside joke just for Brady.
Dodger, like Roger the Dodger, Roger Staubach.
Exactly. Why not go with an inside joke and get to like a cowboy who got in trouble?
Ooh.
Like Hollywood Henderson. Just call him Henderson.
Or Hollywood.
Or Hendo. Or Hollywood.
Low, cokehead. You don't like cokehead, Steve?
I like cocaine hippo. We talked about the cocaine hippos in Colombia yesterday. Pablo Escobar brought over 4 hippos in his heyday. He died. The hippos kept spreading and procreating, and now there's like 100 in Colombia. And apparently their crap is toxic, and it's spoiling the lakes all over the area outside Medellin. So they're trying to figure out if they need to slaughter these hippos, castrate them. So they're called the cocaine hippos. Which, by the way, great fantasy football name.
That is. I expect Adam to employ it at some point.
Tease ahead. People keep trying to advance the topics. How bad is Mahomes' toe? All this is a tease.
Just tease?
Just a tease.
Not bad enough, right? For what I think people would want.
Okay.
For what some people would want, right?
Yeah.
I think the toe will be fine. He's legitimately got to pass the protocol. I mean, I hear some confidence coming out of Arrowhead that it's going to happen. They feel good about the way the tests are going to this point, but he does still have to pass an independent guy's test. Today was either he completed stage 3 or stage 4. Andy Reid, I asked him point blank, stage 3, stage 4. Now, where's he at? And yeah, he did some things for a little bit. So if you read what it is, it could be stage 3 or stage 4. So tomorrow is a bigger day. Bigger practice day. Friday, he should be rounding in. If not Saturday, then you get nervous.
Damn. So we were talking about busy days today, and last night on the podcast, people were discussing Inauguration Day and like if we're going to watch, what time it was starting. And I said last night, I'm probably not going to watch. I never got to watch it. I don't think Petro did because he was super busy.
I actually wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
Right? But I didn't get to watch it because I was setting up computers and shit, mailing back other ones and everything.
I'm on Twitter all the time. I have no idea in terms of post, like what a big number is for likes. Does anyone in the chat know? Because this will probably fall flat. I just know today I saw Joe Biden simply tweeted, "It's a new day in America," and it got over 3.3 million likes.
We call that Tuesday on your Twitter feed, don't we?
Is that right?
The Cofield Tuesday tweet. The Cofield and Company rundown gets more than 3.3 million. I mean, what is this shit?
Yeah. I'm lucky if I get 3.3 total on average a week. My tweet game blows. I don't talk enough about my goofy life and throw out low hanging fruit stuff. So
I have noticed that, there is an element like I unfollow people that just flood me with bullshit. So I treat Twitter the way I want Twitter to treat me.
Right.
It needs to have substance, or I don't want to see it. So I don't just send out just chilling. Well, great. What's the best pumpkin you ever carved? On Halloween. Like, spare me.
But we're probably dumb for not doing that.
No, I don't think so. I think I would say we have values. We have morals. It's like I'm not my self-worth is not based upon my followers, my number of followers. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to be like 37 million. That'd be great, but I'm just not going to go be a troll to get it done.
So it feels weird today, doesn't it? Feels weird.
In what way?
I don't know. Just weird, different. No DJT around. And it hit me. I know he's been off Twitter for a couple of weeks, but first of all, I'm drinking in honor of him. I was thinking of him today. So kind of looking back to simpler times. That's all he wanted. That's all DJT wanted. We're simpler times. And hit both Adam Candy, who hosted Cofield and Company today, along with myself, that right now we're not getting any Trump sports-related tweets. And I sort of miss them because they usually turn into a pretty decent topic on the show for like a half an hour. Does anyone else miss the Trump sports tweets?
Did you see the Saturday Night Live skit during the election? They had one. They're like, be stunned that Saturday Night Live it was left leaning. That might shock you, but their thing was like, gotta have Biden when it's such an important election. They're like, but if Trump loses, what the hell am I going to talk about?
No.
What are we going to do all day? Well, I don't even know if I have a friend if I don't, they're just like, my whole life is based upon this. So.
In a lot of ways it was. And CNN, we were talking about last night, like CNN, they're looking around, they're like, fuck, there's no Trump tweets. What do we do? It was like half our content. So we were trying to write, what's today? January 20th, 2021. On this sports day, what would Trump tweet? Like in the Trump style. So I want the audience to think about it. Like, what would he be angry about? And only in the sports world. What would he be angry about? Who would he be backing? Who might he attack? I had a simple one. It's kind of clunky. I'll read it. My idea of a Trump tweet today, a sports tweet, would be, good guy Cal McNair should boot Deshaun Watson's disloyal ass out of town. DeBron, misspelling it, has no respect for what the NFL has given him. Hashtag fire that SOB. So I know it's not the great DJT. I can't. You have to be genuine when you're doing this stuff, but if anyone else has got one.
I probably have one. How about this? I'm trying to find one of the better ones. But
while you're looking, I'm going to say this is offensive, but this is why he's the most read tweeter we'll ever have. Donald Trump on January 20th, 21, tweets, I don't like the New York Jets hire. They say that this new coach's father was dancing on the rooftops in Jersey when the Twin Towers fell.
He really tweeted that. How about this?
By the way, he did not. That would be a reference to Robert Sala's Muslim background, and Trump liked that kind of stuff when he's like, I read what I didn't say. I'm not saying it. I read it.
Yeah, right.
I'm just passing on the information. What's going on here? I didn't say there's anything wrong with the Muslims or Salah or that they were dancing on 9/11. That wasn't me. I heard that. I'm just putting out information.
Would this be a good one for Trump? This is not a knock on Phillip Rivers. He just wasn't transcendent. He's in what I call the Hall of Good.
No, that sounds like something you and I would say.
How about I was trying to find. I can't find one of the good ones. I was basically just scrolling through Skip Bayless's Twitter because he's halfway Trump on his just trolling bullshit.
The only way I see Bayless's stuff is if someone else retweets it. I don't follow him. It's silly.
I just know he takes whoever the most popular player in sports is, or whoever the best player in sports is, and knocks it
and tries to go against it. Yeah. So dumb. So dumb. Well, anyway, let's all toast. Let me get that going the right way. Let's all toast Trump. Oh! I fooled you. Let's all toast. Maybe not.
I did. How many times do I have to hold the cup up?
I know. All my props. I'm like the goddamn Carrot Top of sports radio.
You really are.
By the way, actually, I know Carrot Top a little bit. He can never remember my name, but the SO actually does his lashes, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Very nice guy, Carrot Top.
That is, I have heard that.
Lovely man.
From your SO a number of times. She says he's a great guy.
I think I've told the story. He treated us to a show. We went out there. Every time I walk in, he's like, "Hey, yeah, there's your husband." I'm like, "We're not married, but that's fine." And the last time I walked in, he's got like a really cool dressing room upstairs at the Luxor. And I walk in and I was like, I blurted it out because he's walking around shirtless and he's jacked. He still lifts and, whatever he's doing nutrition wise. I walked in, I was like, whoa, what's with the shirtlessness? I'm like, shit, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. He's very comfortable showing off his muscles, and I blurted that out. So sorry.
Yeah. Did you strip your shirt off right away just to, keep the vibe?
I never want to show this portion because it's massive and muscly. Right. So instead I make everyone feel better and I just pull out my gut and I just do like a little Cofield, the Ugandan giant.
Yeah.
Cofield, the Jersey Giant.
Remember when wrestling was at its best? Fat asses were like some of the stars.
Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Oh, he was not a fat ass.
He got fat. I don't think I've ever told you. My only time that I was a color voice on a wrestling event was near Appalachian State. I had a friend who took me up there when I was in Charlotte, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go announce it. We have like a TV gig. I'm gonna announce it. You be my color voice." And it was like all these old washed-up wrestlers, and Greg the Hammer walks in, and he is just like, his eyes are fucked. I don't know if he was whacked, if he was drunk, high. I don't know, but he wasn't in premium shape at that point. But I'll give him credit. The guy was probably like late 40s, early 50s. He went out and put on a decent show, and like I can't walk up the stairs now. So
yeah, but I'm talking about back in the day where it was like Kamala, Abdullah the Butcher.
Oh, I love that.
5'10", 400-pound guy.
Lift up the tit.
And then the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty
was just a fat ass in a Speedo, and he was one of the most popular guys in wrestling.
People loved him. It's the American Dream, the Atomic Elbow.
It's like, like how? What? Huh?
Ooh, I didn't know this. Greg the Hammer's in Vegas. Cool. Oh yeah. Yokozuna.
Oh God, yeah.
Tugboat Thomas. Earthquake. I can do this all night. Haystacks Calhoun.
How about there were the two guys that were kind of in the Hogan Macho Man era, the One Man Gang.
Oh yeah.
And Big Boss Man.
Yep, love them. Great.
Yeah, just not ripped.
I would be. Who's more dangerous to have on the show, Greg the Hammer Valentine in Vegas or OJ?
I would think I would be much more afraid of OJ.
Yeah.
Bam Bam Bigelow, nice.
Hey Justin, do you mind if I take the audience behind the scenes and the pitch that Adam and I made to you for a show on this podcast network that we're kind of building here? I'm going to do it anyway without your approval if you don't type real quickly. But he might not remember the pitch. It was a pretty simple pitch. Who better to get this thing launched than doing a weekly football podcast with OJ? But there were some of us were like, well, how bad do we want it? What would you do?
Would I have him on?
Would you do a regular thing with him?
No. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not going to do whatever it takes to build my Twitter followers, and I'm not doing a regular thing with OJ. And I mean, unless I get to be like, dude, I mean, come on. Like, I would have to talk to him like reality.
Right.
I mean, I know what you'd be like. Oh, Juice, you killed it last week. You killed it.
That's actually not my thing. It's Adam's thing. Adam Hill, every time we talk about OJ with the fucking killed it, the stabbing, the knife, the dad, whatever, stuck it to him. It's like, all right.
Juice, what do you think about him slashing that line? You know, I mean,
here we go. Now we're getting names on. We didn't get a lot of dog name suggestions, but the OJ suggestions, oh boy.
It's a better topic. It's an easier topic. Goes more directions. Slashing through the NFL.
See what I mean? And then you start laughing at it. So at that point, you're like, oh, but I'm above having him on. But I'll laugh at all the freaking stabbing.
I will laugh, but, you know, it's different if I got to be like, you know, because what am I supposed to do? Sit there and act like, you know, like there's a kind of a large elephant constantly in the room.
Yes, yes. I love Justin. Ready on this conversation we had a while back? Go for it. then like 30 seconds later, and for the record, I was out. Yes, I know. I remember you saying like, no. I mean, it's not like, come on. Not like you have a growing legal firm in town. It's not like you're a pillar of the community.
That's right.
In your new
why slums it with you as it is.
We're going to christen our brand new Battleborn Broadcast Center podcast studio. OJ, come on in. Come on by the legal firm. Come on by the offices. You get a picture and an autograph. It's all good.
What is it? Pete Rose? Huh?
Memorabilia with memorabilia corner with OJ. It is crazy though, man. He's out and about. He is out and about all over Summerlin, so you can run into him.
We ran into him at dinner. Well, I guess you weren't with us. Were you with us? No, when one of the football weekends, and what we went out to Summerlin with our buddy and his family, and we're leaving. Or like, oh shit, there's the Juice at the bar. So one by one, everybody's coming in, you know, taking a subtle one of these, like, oh, let me look at my phone.
Yep. This is the disclaimer right at the beginning. This power voice guy just saying it wasn't him, it was the son. Here's OJ. Yeah, a lot of jokes, fellas. A lot of jokes. I think we got potential here. But
the club didn't fit. I don't see why we can't have him on the air. That's pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, podcast with Pete and OJ is nuts.
That would be good.
I've seen people keep everyone keeps dropping in the Broncos segment. Who started? I hope maybe Brady started. I don't know. Have a weekly segment on the Broncos. Who else? There it is. A lot of Broncos talk. All right. Okay. Jim Gemma, who works with the Aviators, our AAA team in town, former 51s, that he's at the ballpark quite often. Jim, do you guys put him on the board? Like, hey, OJ's here. Brought to you by.
Kind of like the boxing luminaries. Let's recognize some of the luminaries here tonight.
Bunch of three former baseball players. O.J. Simpson is here. Let's give him a hand. Oh shit.
Does he sit in good seats, or is he on a blanket out on the grass nook?
No, he's right. He's right in the seats there. Jim's like, no. Oh boy. All right. Where the hell was I going? There you go.
I have no idea. I that information
here we
is
go.
not coming to me.
So I have all the faith in the world that football coaches will do the right thing. And Monday morning, I'm like, where's the Chiefs line? Mahomes is playing. That's the right thing. So I bet I got the Chiefs right away at 3 and 110. It hasn't moved. We talked to John Murray today from the Westgate, and he was saying he didn't think it was going to go crazy once or if Mahomes was confirmed as a go, because the Bills have become a really popular, in this case, public dog. So what do you think?
I think you got a good bet.
Okay.
I am a guy that would have dumped a lot of bankroll because I keep thinking the fury is going to be unleashed by the Chiefs. And they get there. They get out to 19-3 leads like they did against the Browns. They got out to a big lead against the Dolphins. They get out to – and then they just kind of put it on cruise control. Now, I think they would have hammered the Browns had Mahomes not gone down. I think they would have finished off like a 36-17 game. But, if he plays – I mean, this is for keeps. It's single elimination. I think you see the best of the Chiefs. And I think they're the better team. Now, injuries can play a role. Let's see who plays. Today, everybody practiced for the Chiefs except for Willie Gay Jr., who was a part-time player. He's a guy that I think's got a big future eventually at linebacker for the Chiefs. But, if they have all their corners, the Bills can go 4 wide, and the Chiefs are one of the few teams. They have 4 corners that are in the top 50 in Pro Football Focus's grades, right? Or maybe 51 or 2 for the bottom one. So they can actually – and they can disguise coverages. What happened in the first game is not a joke.
I don't think it is. Although one of our commenters say the Bills D is no joke.
It's better.
I can't remember. I could look it up, and I should know this since
Milan, when he played 12-0. Is that what you're going for?
Yeah. Did they not play in the game? Was that one of the games Milano and the other linebacker were out?
Yeah, he's 12. Yeah, he didn't play in that game.
Okay.
So that is it's a major difference, but I'm here to tell you, no linebacker is the key to defense. As the sole key. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, right. he grades well, but like you have to me, like the old days where it's like, oh, you got to have a pass rusher. Hey, no doubt. I mean, you want to have a pass rusher, but you can scheme pass rush. You've got to have good coverage people, and you've got to be able to disguise coverages, right? That's what it comes down to. And I think that's like the best kept secret about the Chiefs defense. It is definitely a bend but don't break, and they also play the score, so they will give up points when they're leading. But when they got to get a stop, they get a stop. And it's because Steve Spagnuolo, I think, is one of the more underrated assistant coaches. In fact, I think it's ridiculous, although I think he's 61 now, that he is not – he had one shot with the Rams, who are a dysfunctional organization, and he had no quarterback. But he is a tremendous defensive coordinator. I mean, the Chiefs went from like 30th in defense to winning the Super Bowl with the number 6 scoring defense in the NFL in 1 year. And they were number 6 going into their last game against the Chargers, which they mailed in, and they fell to like tied for 10th. But he can coordinate a defense.
Plus, if you watch the game last week, clearly the defense, as you said, nutted up when it counted. And I thought one of the biggest. I'm sure you guys talked about it. One of the biggest plays of the game was Browns 3rd and 11. They're at their own 30, and you see Mayfield up there. He's got 3 receivers to his left. I think there might have been another one to the right. The play turns out to be just a dump off swing pass to Kareem Hunt, and I'm sure everyone watching is like, what the fuck? Like, throw downfield. But the problem was the coverage on the 3 guys was awesome because he went through the progression. And then the other thing is Chris Jones just fucking annihilated the right guard, and Baker Mayfield's like, shit, and just threw it. So it's it's plays like that where before the season, remember we were talking about Chris Jones? We're like, okay, is he worth it? Is he not worth it? And then they sign him, and you're like, how many high-priced guys can the Chiefs have? Can they fill in with other good players at lower prices? The answer to all of this is yes, Chris Jones is worth it, and yes, their scouting right now is awesome because they've got cheap, effective players all over the field on defense.
So think about it. Tyrann Mathieu made his bones at LSU playing a corner, right? And then moved to safety, so he's played corner. Juan Thornhill played corner in college. He plays safety now. L'Jarius Sneed, their fourth-round pick, who's top 15 corner in the NFL this year as a rookie in the fourth round, played both corner and safety at Louisiana Tech. Charvarius Ward played both, right? They have a team of guys that are all hybrids. And so his coverages are disguised amazingly because it can be anyone, anywhere. And because they don't have like a Darrell Revis, although L'Jarius Sneed may develop into that, but they have four guys that any of them can cover anybody. Sneed has already played outside and inside. Charvarius Ward played inside and then moved outside. All their guys, and then Rashad Penn, they're all the exactly what Nick Saban wants. 5'11", 192, long arms. And Sneed is insane. And so they have, like, when they go to the dime, they've got six guys, and then they put Dan Sorensen, who's a safety end, as the linebacker up front. Their coverage units are outstanding, and that's one of the things. And they can really disguise what they're doing. And so that's a big part of the equation for what Steve Spagnuolo has tried to build and what they've done. And I think it's, under, and Baker Mayfield on the bootleg, like the play action and the bootleg, L'Jarius Sneed played in the slot, and then when he bootleg out the backside, Sneed blitzed automatically. I mean, Spagnuolo was ready for that, and that's something Baker Mayfield kills people on, and he just had Sneed on that side to where the bootleg would come, and he'd blitz in there and got one sack early, and then had Baker Mayfield unloading the ball out of bounds the rest of the day.
Did you think Mayfield played a good game? I heard a lot of Mayfield defenders, and then I was kind of irked by the good job, good effort stuff. Like, oh, the Browns made it so far. I'm like, they were going against the Chiefs. Pat Mahomes was out for a quarter and a half. Chad Henne had to beat them. Are you serious with good job, good effort?
So on this one, I am. But if 5 years from now, all we have are good job, good efforts, I think Baker Mayfield has found his inner Alex Smith. And that is, he looked around and went, okay, if I just manage the offense, which I think being a game manager, every good quarterback is a game manager. Every great quarterback is a game manager. Every good quarterback is a game manager. Now, they may not be able to be a great quarterback and do the other things, make the incredible plays, but you have to manage the game. And I think he's learned to manage the game. I think he's learned that if he doesn't turn the ball over, he's going to make a lot of money, whether that's Kevin Stefanski beat it into him or he had this revelation on his own, because Alex Smith has made $180 million in the game. And he's not going to win you a championship, but he's going to get you 10 or 11 wins and into the postseason and give you a shot. If you've got incredible talent around him, he'll give you a shot. And I think that's where Baker Mayfield is. The one thing I would say where I think Baker Mayfield has a better chance, he dropped a couple of nice throws in. Peoples-Jones on the go route was a nice throw. He had a couple of them. The fourth down throw with pressure on him that he completed to Hopper, the tight end. He made some good throws, but at some point you got to win the close games. Cleveland does not have a Tyreek Hill, right? And Hopper's definitely not Kelsey. So they've got to manage the cap right and get the guy weapons. They've got the offensive line, but they got to get him weapons. I think he played well at this point in his career. This game should be celebrated as a success. I personally think the two best games, the two games that give me the most confidence in Alex Smith and Tom Brady are both losses. Alex Smith hanging in there in 2015 in the divisional playoff against the Patriots, and he had guys all over him. That's where the Chiefs got it to within 7. Had a chance. Everybody complains that Andy Reid didn't score fast enough. It's because Alex Smith's a game manager and not a great player, right? But Alex Smith stood in against the rush, evaded, bought time, ran for first downs, did everything. That was the best game I've ever seen the guy play. And Tom Brady against the Broncos in the AFC Championship game, when the Broncos went on to the Super Bowl and he had Von Miller in his shorts all night, that's the best game I've ever seen from Tom Brady. It was insane how, delivering the ball under duress is huge. And he did it. So Mayfield, this is a success. But if you're trying to call it a success 5 years from now, no. Error. Wrong.
All right. So to my original question, because I want to follow up on the Browns, someone was talking about, they're just essentially a 9-7 team. I don't know.
That's fair. That's a fair analysis.
My original question, actually, my original thought on this was, you guys in Kansas City are going to look back 10 years from now, and you're going to have, I'll go conservative, you're going to have 4 Super Bowl titles, right? And you're going to look back 15, 20 years from now, and this will be the Chad Henne year. Like, that's how much the Browns fucked up. That's how big Chad Henne was in those moments. That was amazing, and obviously Reid has to show the balls to make the big call to get the first down, and Yeah, it was a pretty easy play to execute, but Chad Henne could also freaking airmail it or dump it into the ground. Mm-hmm. So that was amazing. And the entire NFL is going to look back and go, God damn it, Browns. Chad Henne was on the field. They shouldn't have won a Super Bowl that year. You let Chad Henne help them win a Super Bowl. Come on.
He did take the field with 20 minutes of game time left and a 9-point lead. Right? I mean, it wasn't 0-0. I'm with you. That opened the door for the Browns. And if the Browns had more firepower, right, if they hadn't given up a ton of draft picks for a flake and Odell Beckham Jr., and they had drafted A.J. Brown, or they had drafted, take your pick of any number of wide receivers that have been available that are big playmakers, then that'd be a big part of it.
Yeah. I mean, the INT was not great.
No. Oh, no. Listen.
Who was a receiver on the play?
Demarcus Robinson.
He also got a little hooked on the route. So
I'm not
sure he could have gotten it. And he did. Yeah, he might have given up.
Then he kind of gave up, and then he tried to turn it on. I mean, Andy Reid took the blame for it. I mean, I think it's a throw that clearly shouldn't have been made. And that's why he's the backup. That's what he is. Listen, I had Henne on this week. To your point about the fourth down play, which is the exact same play that they ran on fourth down against the Dolphins to ice the game against the Dolphins. I said, listen, the guy gets open. Like, how do you not have the yips? Like, you see it. Like, there was a next-gen stat that he had 4.9 yards of separation. Like, if you or I had the ball, I'd be like, don't screw this up. Don't screw this up. Don't screw this up. Oh, shit, I screwed it up. Right? Like, I would have buried it. I'd have thrown a worm burner. Like, he probably would have caught it in his hands on a perfect skip. Bang, right there. Right?
Brady,
so to Henry's credit, he did his job. But, I hate the narrative of, like, well, the helmet to helmet. First of all, piss on the helmet to helmet, because if you wanted to call it, it's fine. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't like it, though, because I think that call cannot be adjudicated off instant replay. Because he goes with his shoulder and the helmet gets there. It looks like it gets – the helmet got there first. Yes, when you slow it down to frame by frame. But in real time, it looked like helmet and shoulder arrived at the same time. So I got no time for the Browns fans that were whining about, like, oh, that would have totally changed the game. You'd had first down at the 13, and what about your offensive performance said you're definitely scoring a touchdown from the 13? Like, bullshit. So, I mean, listen, there was the door open for the Browns. The Chiefs proved they're more than Patrick Mahomes.
And Brady's right. Reed would have gotten killed if they hadn't converted there, because then it would have flipped to, like, you're going forward on fourth down midfield with Chad Henne. Like, you can't have it both ways. You're either a supporter of big bald coaches going, not bald hair, big nad coaches going for it and being aggressive, or you're not and you're old school and you're a pussy.
I will say this, like, the metrics on the game were he's 91% to win if he punts. Because they're at 115 with no time left on the clock. He increased the win percentage by 6% by converting it. How much he would have lost? I mean, you can actually make a case that's actually one of the spots not to do it. But I will tell you, and Andy Reid always says, because I talk to him about fourth down all the time, and sometimes I drive him crazy about it, because I think 10 years from now, going for it on fourth down is going to be like on-base percentage in baseball. But over 10 years, everybody's going to do it, and we're going to be like, what the fuck took 150 years to, like, recognize on-base is more important than batting average, right? I think that's going to be the fourth down. 4th and 5 or less, outside your own, somewhere in the range of 35 to 50, depending upon how many yards it is, you're going to start going for it, because you're going to recognize we give the ball to the other team. They're getting, on average, like the Green Bay Packers average roughly, 3.5, 4 points a drive. So and that's on just the average starting field position. So what does it matter if you give it to them on the 20 or you give it to them on the 50? Really, not that much. And in that range, every team now plays bend but don't break. So nobody actually shows their defensive cards until their backs are against the wall, because you can't stop anybody. You don't want to get beat over the top. So you have to be aggressive, because now giving up 3 is a success. It's like giving up a 2 to the Warriors. All right, good job. Here we go. Let's come down. Let's get a 3 of our own. Right? That's where the game is going. And so you have to go for it on fourth down. And so Reed went for it. And he always says game situation matters. The Chiefs defense, like, like when the old you pull on your shorts at North Carolina meant you needed to be pulled out in basketball. Tyrann Mathieu at the snap of the play looked like he was a tailback at Oklahoma in 1978, right? Hands on knees, catching a breather, like they're completely gassed. like a 50 play drive. And I think Reed went, my guys are gassed. I have the best offense. They're not going to think I'm going to do this. Let's go get this thing. You got it done. More coaches. I'm like fourth down conversion, like third down conversion is going to fade away as a big deal. Fourth down conversion is going to be the thing that everyone talks about. You're not going to be like, well, they were 7 of 11 on third down. No, bullshit. They're going to be like, I'll tell you what, they were 6 of 9 on fourth down. Like that will be where the game is 10 years from now.
Brady's question: when they lined up, did you think they were going for it?
I thought there was more of a chance having watched Reed. Reed is actually aggressive on the fourth downs. He goes for it more than people realize. And so I hold that on there because I will address that shit here in a second. He goes for it more than people realize, and he's done it. He finished the Dolphin game with it, and there were 2 different games he went for it on fourth down to ice the game. And so he had proven that he's willing to do it with his offense. It looked like they were stalling out. And what's great is like, they acted like they were just trying to get him to jump off sides, and then they ran the play. Chad Henne told me I broke the huddle too soon. Like, I wish we could give Andy Reid all that credit, but Henne said he kind of forgot about the clock in the huddle, broke the huddle, and then got out there and went, oh, shit, we're out here too early. And so then he slowed it all down up there at the line. So that's Henne's mistake, and then Henne's catching it. But I mean, I talked to Henne about it, and I said, wow, 10 guys held their water. Like, you got everybody down in the stance early, and now you're going through it, and it kind of like I think it's something like if you can get your guys to lock in and hold it, that's a great strategy. But it really wasn't the strategy on that one. But it's definitely the way to go. But I will say this on the Reed learned from his problems in Philadelphia. Bullshit. Andy Reid got himself a Hall of Fame quarterback. All right. Now, this one, he didn't have the Hall of Famer out there with Chad Henne. But the reality is, all right, I've said this, Steve, you have heard me talk about it. Before Patrick Mahomes took over, I said at some point if he gets a Hall of Fame quarterback, you're going to read all the national guys talk about how Andy Reid finally figured out the clock. Andy Reid finally figured out how to manage a game. Do you want to know how the fuck you manage a game and how you figure out the clock? You get a Hall of Fame quarterback. Because coaches don't manage the game down the field and they don't manage the clock down the field. Hall of Fame quarterbacks rocket the ball 15 and 20 yards down the field. Game managers like Alex Smith run for 4 and get tackled in bounds, and the clock ticks. I watched 6 years of that shit, and I'm now watching the difference. Andy Reid is not calling anything different. There were guys on go routes that Alex Smith wouldn't take that shot. Donovan McNabb wouldn't take that shot. Couldn't take that shot. Patrick Mahomes takes that shot. This one was a ballsy call because he had Chad Henne. That's what makes it ballsy. Not going for it on fourth. The play call worked before. It's a complete mismatch. Devontae Adams scored a touchdown over on the NFC side on the exact same play, and Tyreek Hill creates more separation. So it was ballsy because he had Chad Henne in there. But Andy Reid has done nothing different. He just has a quarterback that will take the big home run shots that Andy Reid has schemed up his entire career. Here ended the lesson.
There's another one. We can move away from the game on the. You know what? Actually, I wanted to address one more thing before we get to beyond.
I like that one.
No, I do too. But I wanted,
no, by the way,
I wanted to throw this at you. I hate the fact that the Browns punted 4th and 9 at their own 30. I don't care if Chad Henne's on the other side. Come on, let's go. Let's learn the lesson. Stop giving the ball back to the Chiefs in any situation.
I think that's I can't argue with that. I won't say you're wrong because you're in the get it right business, and they got it wrong. They never got the ball back. I definitely, we saw Anthony Lynn in the second game of the year punt 4th and 1 at the Chiefs 48, I think, and give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes, who promptly went down the field and got a touchdown. Like that, you've lost your mind. 4th and 9 is a long way to go. When the Chiefs defense is pretty good, and they were worn out, and I think there was a feeling that we will get a stop. He got it wrong, so Stefanski screwed it up. I can tell you the PFF guys will tell you he should have gone for it on 4th and 9. That just giving it back, to the Chiefs is liquid death. But, they did have them 3rd and 14. And a 35-year-old quarterback that hadn't started a game since 2014 ran for 13.5 yards. And then he converted a pass on 4th and 1 because the Chiefs can't run for a 4th and 1 to save their ass. And everyone's like, the big bitch this week, right? We call it Nitpick Mondays. And for the most part, because the Chiefs win so many games, for the most part, nobody had any. But then Tuesday and Wednesday, I started getting calls. Well, why the hell are you running Mahomes? Why don't you just run it? Did you not watch the other games? Like they get stuffed on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 all the time. They have a finesse offensive line built to pass block. So he has to get creative on the short yardages. I will say this. If they haven't run a quarterback sneak since Patrick Mahomes dislocated his kneecap, not once. Not one time with Mahomes did they run the quarterback sneak. That's a safer play than running the option. And I asked Reed about it this week. I'm like, hey, some people would say, me, that if you're not okay with the guy running a quarterback sneak, why would you run him on the option? Is it space? Do you think it's a safer play? And he's like, yeah, all that. Well, it's not. You got to come up with something else. But they don't just – and everyone's like, well, you got to be able to line up and run the ball for 1 yard. I go, yes, that's what Marty Schottenheimer thought. How many championships did he win? Like you build a team to score from anywhere on the field, and that kind of team struggles at the 1 or 2 yard line. That's why he runs all the jet sweeps and the Kelsey, shovel pass and the, pass back to Patrick Mahomes, all that shit, because they got 5 long offensive, well, kind of a short. Their center doesn't blow anybody off the ball, but all the other guards are all long guys. He has a bunch of tackles that are designed to pass block. That's what they do. So they suck from 1 yard.
Before we get to Bieniemy, there's one other thing I wanted to hit. That comment earlier that the Browns this Browns group just has an aura of like a 9-7 team. If you give me, they went 11-5 this year.
Minus 11 point differential.
If you give me in a 16-game season, because obviously we're going to have win totals adjusted in the future. What was the differential?
Minus 11.
They go into 17 games next year?
They can, I think, yeah.
Okay. Well,
they will.
Let's just go with 16-game and coming up with a win total. If you give me 9 as the win total on the Browns, I'm dead under.
Teams.
I'll tell you right now, they will go max 2-6 on the road.
Teams,
if not 1-7.
Did they go? What did they go the year before?
Was last year as low as? Was it 7-9? I don't know. Someone's got to look at
it. I think it was at least that low. If somebody knows the 2019 Browns record, let me know. Cleveland. Well, I know I had the under and I cashed it because everyone was on their jock and you just knew it wasn't coming here. Hang on, I'm thinking I'm getting it here.
I just want to read you the schedule while you're looking it up. Their road schedule is at Chargers, at Chiefs, at Packers, at Patriots, at Vikings, at the Bengals, at the Ravens, at the Steelers. Obviously, the conference games or division games.
All right, so they were 6-10 last year.
Okay,
with I think an 8.5 over under. Teams that go from double-digit losses to double-digit wins, their average record the following year is 7-9. Now, the teams that do go and have success generally are coaches that are the shit. So if you believe Stefanski's the real deal, then the Browns may buck that trend. But the average record, and there are some 4-12s and 5-11s, the average record the year after you go from double-digit losses to double-digit wins is to regress back to 7-9. So, and a minus 11 point differential says that's where they should go.
And the books aren't stupid. I'm guessing they're not going to set it at 9. They'll set it at 8.5. I don't know. There could be. I disagree. There could be a ton of public money. Ton of public money that'll. So they might have to put it at 9. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think so. And I'd like to see who they draft. If they draft, if they get somehow wide receiver talent. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. is such a flake. I mean, if he would come back, it's been so long since he played well. I put nothing into him, but they need skill position talent for the guy. They've got the line. They need to get him some weapons because he showed in the Chiefs game he's not afraid to send the ball down the field. So if they would go get, if somehow like, is there any receiver trying to shoot? If they'd get Stefon Diggs, right, like the Bills did, then I would be about the Browns. Then I would have to back off the Browns under. But otherwise, I mean, they're a classic under. If they're the kind of team you should bet the under. Like I said, for that stat, you bet that stat every time, you'll make money.
There you go. All right, how about the Bieniemy stuff? We update Bieniemy seemingly every week. We started talking about Eric Bieniemy. I'm not sure how many people were doing this. You guys probably were in Kansas City, but we started talking about Bieniemy. At least I did. Back to Bill O'Brien's firing, which is funny. Texans, I think, we'll have to look back at the calendar. Texans were first in the Derby for a new coach, and there might be the last one out. So what's the latest with Bieniemy? What are you hearing?
Well, nobody wants to coach in Houston. Todd Bowles refused to interview. Because he's like, I'm not getting the job. I know what I am. This is a token interview, was what the reports were, is what he said. So he doesn't want to go there.
And by the way, we pointed this out yesterday on our shows because all of a sudden, after we heard about, Deshaun's not happy, what about Bieniemy? They didn't take my input, and they just start. Who was Leslie Frazier? I think that's the only interview he's had the whole time. I'm not saying he's not a candidate for a head coach. And then isn't there a quality control? I don't even know if he's a position coach. Is it with the Ravens? African American dude who's 65 who got an interview. I was like, okay, what's going on here now?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is quarterback. If you're an offensive coach, quarterback coaches are the guys that get the interviews, and there's only one quarterback coach and one black OC, one black quarterback coach and one black OC. So I think Bieniemy reads the writing on the wall for all the reasons we've talked about a number of different times. I think there are many reasons, all of them contributing, none of them ones that eliminate him. Not calling plays, doesn't coach the quarterback, has never coached the quarterback position, has some things that you're going to get questioned about in the press conference about when he was a kid, when he was young, issues he had, rumors that are out there in the Colorado area about other things, but they won't come to light, so I don't think they deserve being talked about. But people in Colorado will tell you that off the record, people in Colorado say, but there's nothing that's like murder, there's nothing like that. Right, but there is some stuff that's there, and frankly, he's black, and every owner that's looking to hire, except for Shad Khan, is white. That's real. Like, he doesn't interview well. Is that because you're white and he's black? Is that because you're an old white guy and he's a black football coach?
Can we address something else on this with, who's a good interview and who's not, and who some coaches and football people get turned on by? Can I give you a little mix here? Let me punch this up. Dan Campbell. Right? Who's never been a coordinator, obviously was in the mix and has been in the mix for jobs. He got the Lions job. This guy interviewed and wowed someone. Give a listen. Just a listen to this. This is a lot of his, football talk around the team and in media interview opportunities. This guy got a job.
If all 11 guys are on the same page and you have the wrong call, you can still succeed if you have the right animals, and we do.
The sleeping giant is awake. He can't take a nap. There are no naps, okay? We got to keep him up and alive.
Way that I want it, and I'm going to talk the talk and walk the walk, and you follow me. There's always the line, this is okay to do, and this is dirty, but we're going to walk that line. I want us pulling the trigger. I don't want us playing conservative. I want us playing on our toes, and we're going forward, and we're going through you.
My God.
I've seen this play out. It's Gunther Cunningham. Right, who to his defense, went 16-16 over 2 years, was 9-6, and got upset by John Gruden on the final week. Otherwise, he would have been AFC West champions. His first year went and they finished 9-7, went 7-9 the next year. Then got fired for Carl Peterson to hire his friend Dick Vermeil. So he wasn't a train wreck, but Gunther was one of those guys. The Bears beat him throwing the ball over the round. He called it fake football. The whole get fired up, pump people up. That to me sounds like fake pump up shit.
Yep. Does Dan Campbell even lift, bro? Yeah, that's the thing. He lifts. We Adam Hill and I got into it yesterday. The NFL has a couple of different directions they can go. They can keep going the old school with guys like Dan Campbell, the big galoot. Look at that big lug, right? Look at that guy. It's the Brett Bielema's. It's the Mike Tyson. It's those guys. Or the flip side, and it's getting people mad, are the nerds like, Brandon Staley, who's at, John Carroll 4 years ago, Art Smith, by the way, I love talking about nepotism in the coaching ranks, right? We talk about it often, you kind of, as it turns out, Little Shanny's a pretty good coach, right? But we talk about nepotism. I did not realize, you want to talk about being able to just be the riverboat gambler, do whatever you want. As you're moving up as an NFL coach, you're moving up the ladder. Do you know who Arthur Smith's dad is?
He is head of FedEx, right?
He started FedEx.
Yeah. I actually one of the guys
That's amazing.
One of the guys on our station goes, "Oh, I like that. He knows what it is to be a CEO, right? NFL is like being a CEO."
Yeah, nothing against him.
I haven't
I'm
had a
sure.
chance to talk to him. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, well, maybe I should consider that, but I'm kind of like, no, I don't. I'm not down with that. But you know, Eric Bieniemy actually is a leader of players, right? I mean, I will say that, like, he has real leadership, because that's the kind of shit that some old white guy thinks football teams need to hear, and that's bullshit. Like, Eric Bieniemy, whatever the language is, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what he says to the players on the sideline, because I think one of the things that cost Eric Bieniemy was he got interviews. I think the Rooney Rule actually kind of screwed Bieniemy, because as a running backs coach and then a first-year coordinator, offensive coordinator under Andy Reid, when everyone knows Andy Reid's really the offensive juice, you really aren't. You don't warrant an interview, but he got him because everyone needed to check the Rooney Rule box. Right now, I'm for the Rooney Rule. I think I'm not against it, but I think he's one of the few guys that it worked against him, because he was not ready. I can tell you when they make the coordinators available that first year, he was a train wreck. Right? Like, he was trying so hard to not say anything anti-Andy Reid or don't give away the game plan or everything, and it just ended up being blah, 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 blah shit. Right? Year 2, a little bit better, still not ready. Right? Year 3, this year I can tell you he can handle an interview with the media. So I think his interviews are better, but then the word got out when he was getting these interviews that it wasn't a good interview, and I think it probably wasn't. I don't think that was racist. I think he probably didn't interview well. And part of, getting a job, good, bad, right, or wrong, is you got to impress the guy on the other side of the table. So I think he got burned. Now there's this reputation that he doesn't interview well, which was accurate, but he wasn't ready to interview. Like, if I go interview for an NFL coaching job right now, I'm not going to interview well, because I don't know what's coming. Now, let me go interview 5 times. I'll interview a lot better. Right? And I think Bieniemy's been hurt by that. I think there are a lot of things at play that hurt Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, the interview thing's a totally unpredictable deal.
You know what the real test would be? What if Andy Reid retired tomorrow and Clark Hunt didn't make Eric Bieniemy the head coach?
Right.
That would be the ultimate test. I personally would hire Steve Spagnuolo as the head coach, but
I was going to say, would you put Bieniemy even as 50-50?
No, I would not. I put Spagnuolo.
All right.
Because he's been there, done that, and the program's up and running. I wouldn't think Spagnuolo is going to be my coach for 15 years, but for the next 4 or 5 years, I think he'd be the guy. I personally, and I said this yesterday, and I reiterated today, Marvin Lewis won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, all on his defense.
Yep.
And he he was on the radar to get jobs for a long time. He didn't get jobs. He finally left Baltimore and went to Washington as the associate head coach and defensive coordinator. Then he got the Bengals job. I think Eric Bieniemy needs to leave. Like, taking the Seattle job would be perfect. Take the Seattle OC assistant head coach job. If you can put that tag on him, that's what you need to hire him away from the Chiefs. Let him go call plays, have success someplace else calling plays, and you've at least eliminated one of the negatives that people say about him. And then the other thing I think is the NFL should have to say why. You're going to have the Rooney Rule? Okay, have the Rooney Rule. And then have a rule that says ownership has to put out a press release on why their Rooney Rule candidate didn't get the job. Because my personal opinion is, if you said, well, Eric Bieniemy's never coached the quarterback position. Okay, some guy down in college who's coaching running backs would go start coaching quarterbacks, so he would have the right resume to be a head coach.
If he went to Seattle, and maybe he's calling a lot more of the plays, couldn't people look at that and go, I mean, God almighty, he worked with Pat Mahomes and Russell Wilson. What does that prove?
Well, I mean, that's never been a problem for the multitude of white coordinators with Hall of Fame quarterbacks that always get the job. Josh McDaniels, Adam Gase, all of them.
Gase is the prime example.
Gase is a half-wit, but he has the stink of Peyton Manning on him, and he keeps getting jobs.
It is funny. Someone mentioned earlier about, I think this happens a lot too, when a team has a failed head coach, the next guy who comes in, they want to be completely different. Like, Adam Gase is a guy who cannot fucking communicate, is not a rah-rah guy. So, and I like Robert Saleh. I like the hire, but he's absolutely a rah-rah guy, right? He's the total opposite. Someone pointed out earlier, Matt Patricia is kind of that nerd type, and they're like, all right, let's go with the big galoot. Now, Patricia's a fat ass, I get it, but he's more of the, where did he go to school? Is it RIT? Whatever it is.
He's an actual, is it Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute? I'll look it up here, but he's an actual rocket scientist.
I know he is.
Yeah.
Trying to be a rocket scientist. He is. Shut up. Yeah, he's a smart guy, but maybe not the best communicator. But yeah, they do the full 180 by going with the big galoot, the rah-rah guy. So interesting.
Would you want to know where he went to college?
Yeah, where is it?
Yeah, Rensselaer Polytechnical Institute.
So it's RPT.
RPI. No, RPI.
RPI, sorry. RPI.
Yeah, good hockey program.
Rest in peace.
I looked at going to school there.
Did you?
I was either going to go broadcasting or engineering. Purdue for engineering, Syracuse for broadcasting, USC if I couldn't figure it out.
Wow, you're smart.
But I looked at Rensselaer and no big-time football or basketball. I'm like, nah, I'm out.
You actually did that?
Yeah. I wanted a major football or basketball program, a good football or basketball program in the Power Five-ish schools that I could root for when I got out of college.
I'm not mocking on you at all. Because I actually think when
you should, because I don't follow Syracuse football and basketball where they're shit now.
No. The way I look at it, I would tell my child, I'm not going to have any. I don't have any. But I would tell them that actually sports are a good experience. Sports is a vital congregating opportunity where you get to meet a lot of people. So it's an enjoyable thing at a big time school. So I think it's a lot of fun. So I would advise kids to go. But I will tell you that when I was applying to schools, I was like, I liked Len Bias in Maryland, so I applied at Maryland. I lived in Florida for a little bit. I was like, I'm going to apply to Florida State. I also like Florida, so I applied to the Florida Institute of Technology. No idea why I did, because I'm like, Florida, and and I was actually thinking about going for accounting. That's actually why when I went to Rutgers, that's what I was going to do. And then in the end, I was like, Rutgers is cheaper. All right, let's go there. So, and I got totally lucky because Syracuse has a very high rep as a radio school. Rutgers is actually very underrated. Their radio program or their station is very well funded, and they let the kids do everything there. So if you wanted to get into radio, it's actually a good place to go. And you're in the New York area, so you get to intern it. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was my list. Was like all schools that were good at sports that I liked, and so.
Yeah, it was something I wanted in the plan. I mean, I was offered aid. I don't know if it's technically a scholarship to go play at Caltech. Now, Caltech, I mean, like, I don't think I could have probably made the math part of Caltech, but like my SAT was all math. I'm a grammar and spelling moron, as you know. I can't figure out the English language to save my life. That's why I speak it and don't try to write it. But Caltech, I didn't play football my last 2 years in high school. And you can read stories. There are stories about how bad the Caltech football program is.
Yeah.
They never win.
First with Carvelli. I get it. I mean, that's, it's reality is someone's got to pay for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually,
everybody has a jackass dad who feels guilty who says, I'll flip the bill for wherever you can get into.
Right. Yeah, our school
that may or may not have been my story.
Yeah, our school in locally in New Jersey is now Monmouth University. It's Monmouth College, which it's kind of a lower end school, but it's also like at the time it was probably like $22,000 a year, which in 1988 or 89 was really expensive. But if you're a Jersey Shore kid and you're like, fuck, I got to get in somewhere. I can get in there. Hey, Dad, it's really expensive. You know what? I'll pay for it. I just want you out of the house. Just go to college, please. So there's schools like that all over the place. I was going to mention I had a cousin who actually went to Caltech. He came out. He was an actuary, and he was actually I think he skipped ahead in like 7th grade. So he was actually like 17 when he went there. So I kind of get I couldn't go there either. My point is he was really fucking smart. So maybe then that's why they reached out to me because I was 17 when I graduated. So upside.
That can't be if they were trying to get me to go to school there because MIT was not calling.
No,
I didn't apply, but
Damn, dude, I didn't know you were that smart. The smartest person I know that I'm actually friends with is that I thought the smartest person is actually Adam Hill. Adam got into like 4 Ivy League schools, but to the same point, like without assistance, his family couldn't afford whatever it was at the time, and then he wound up going to UNLV instead.
Yeah, I remember my counselor. What a complete waste of time that was. But when I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go. So he's like, well, you wait a minute, you do the engineering program at Purdue. Like, oh, here are your test scores. I'll say you should be in a math-based job. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that shit.
Okay.
Because I toured Purdue, and I was like, and I see like they're like, oh, here it is. I'm like, well, why are these people sleeping on cots? Oh, it's finals time. They're here working on projects, and then they just sleep here in the lab. They called it a lab. It wasn't a lab because it was engineering stuff, but they sleep here. And then I'm like, and then you go tour Syracuse. It's like, yeah, broadcast journalism, and like nobody's doing shit. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the program for me. There we go. I'll do that. This like sleeping in the lab thing. That's not for me.
I think you made the right choice.
I don't know.
And I saw this comment earlier. Rutgers is a pick 'em tomorrow against Penn State. What disrespect? Not really. Rutgers has hit the skids. They lost it. Last year they were, and I still think they're going to bounce back and have a good season. But it happens with basketball teams. Last year they were like, well, first of all, I'll use the cheesy line. At the beginning of this season of the Big Ten, they were the hunted, not the hunter, and it was always the opposite, right? I think they were a little overlooked by a lot of teams, but they played a completely different brand of basketball. Like they couldn't shoot, so they scrapped. They beat the shit out of people. They rebounded. Now their guys they've gotten skilled guys, and the guys they had have gotten better, so they can make threes. But now they don't play the same kind of defense. It's just different. Like there's a different feel on the team, and so they probably need to go back to be somewhere in the middle and working their asses off again. Plus the Big Ten's ridiculous. So like there's a couple of
strong.
It's nuts. It's like every game I watch, I'm like, fuck. Goddamn Wisconsin, Iowa, and they haven't even faced Michigan yet. And Michigan State's a pain in the balls, and it's a good conference. So.
When are you gonna start coaching basketball, Steve?
Why would I coach basketball?
It's love your insights.
I don't have kids. I know I was not very eloquent in delivering my feelings on that. I was starting to get emotional. Yeah, as I watch it, I'm like, it's not the same as last year. Get on the floor. God damn it. Rebound. Let's go.
There's nothing more rewarding than losing your broadcasting voice, yelling at a kid for the 3rd year to try to box out. I mean, and then watching them not box out.
Yeah.
There's nothing more rewarding. There's nothing more rewarding than running the same inbounds play you've run for 3 years and have a kid still not understand right, left, up, back.
You're not just yelling, shoot it. Hustle, 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 hustle. This might be true.
Who do you have? Who are you guarding? And we have a rule. Every time down the floor, if we're in man-to-man, you call out the number you're guarding. And there's always one kid just wandering around, playing their kind of solo zone. And you're like, hey, you. Like, what number? Who are you? You have 2. You have guard 2. And then you go to work going, oh, what's the matter with you? Like, oh, you sick? No. I coach 5th grade basketball.
I retired as a coach probably when I was 22 or 23. I coached CYO co-ed softball. It was a bit intense. First of all,
at 22, 23, you're not ready to coach.
First of all, it was supposed to be a fun co-ed church league, and we absolutely recruited.
Dude,
everyone on the fucking team was like, my younger brother was on it. He was a pretty decent player, but like we just used his connections and his friends' connections. We had like football players. I mean, these kids were way too big. The girls on the team all played softball. If they didn't, they got drilled hard. I don't mean it pervy, but like infield practice, I had no problem just skipping one right into their face. Like, let's go. Like the girls are not being treated any differently than the guys. It was intense. It was a little too much, but we won. I raised the cup. I don't know what the prize was, but
yeah, it's a good time. At 22, 23, you're not ready to coach. No. Like you're not ready.
I wasn't ready to play because I was decent at softball, and I played on a couple of solidly competitive teams. And
I actually have heard confirmation that you were a pretty good softball player.
I don't think there were, and plus if you don't think you think now I can't keep my trap shut. Back then, like I had no idea that I weighed like 160 pounds. There was almost a fucking fight and not in the CYO coaching, but men's softball. There was almost a fight with our team every game.
I ran out the clock.
None of us could shut up. And Adam Hill has talked about this on the air. I'm very competitive, and I might get a little bit angry. I had a decent arm, so if you ran on me, like I love trying to throw people out. If I didn't think I could get you out, I was going to throw the ball through you. So I absolutely would just target someone's back on throws from the outfield. There you go. Look at him. Yep. Yeah, look at him. I used to every once in a while just to show off or just to intimidate. Like, hey, there's a wild man out there. I would pull the Sammy Sosa. Remember Sosa often from the outfield? He'd throw it so fucking hard it would be like halfway up the backstop to home plate.
Yeah,
I would do that shit. I'm like, let's go.
It's called the Doug Stewart.
Is that what he does?
Yeah. When I had my team of ringers in beer league softball, and Doug would play left field, and he'd get pissed off and want to like drill somebody, and he'd end up throwing it over in the top of the backstop. Normally, he could gun guys down. He'd gun guys down at the plate, but every now and then he'd airmail one to the top of the backstop.
Dude, I love it.
You mentioned like the coaching part of it, like the CYO part of it, which is Catholic. If people don't know, because I didn't grow up Catholic, but I'm now Catholic. Right. Catholic Youth Organization.
Yep.
You're like, oh yeah, it's all gonna be great. Like this year we can play zone. Last year we couldn't play zone. I got guys like playing zone all the time. They got 2 technicals and they were going to throw the guy out because he would not stop playing zone, which I love. And then later, so like that's the level of competitiveness. I'm going to cheat the rules. And then another one, I got a 3-point lead with 18 seconds to go, and I had my point guard dribble around in circles and dribble out the clock, and nobody fouls her because they hadn't worked on fouling late if you're down. And I get the coach yelling from the other bench, "Really, Petro? This is how you're going to end it? Really, Petro?" We're keeping score, right? When we didn't keep score, no, we'd do something. But if we're keeping score, then it fucking matters. Yes, this is how I'm going to end it.
So earlier we had this comment. Let's see. I'm in Florida right now, getting ready for over 50 softball tournament starting Friday.
I'm so proud of you.
I have a friend that I have a friend who's really good baseball player. Actually, still plays over 50 baseball pitches. He's been doing it forever in the Boca Raton area. Yeah, and he followed up here with, "We're playing in Bullhead City late February. You still got game, Cof, dude. It is all over." Like that. Yeah. Like when I see my 50, I think he's a 49 or 50-year-old friend playing baseball in Florida, still pitching and being able to throw whatever, 82 at like 50 years old, and he's all, it's all slurves and shit and off-speed stuff. Like I look at him and I'm like, I am so far away from that.
I got a buddy who plays on like a travel 50 and over softball team, which I'm not eligible for yet, but
good for him,
and he's like, dude, a couple years, like you can come play. Like I'm like, dude, maybe I could catch. Maybe I could catch. Yep. But I don't even want to anymore. It's like, oh, we'll get you some first base time. I don't want to play first base. I'm not catching some high school fucking hero who wants to rocket one over and skip them short on me that I got to dig out of the dirt. Bullshit. No, I'm out.
Yeah, I don't even take offense to this anymore.
No.
Only thing Cofield can throw at his back. I'm a nightmare.
No, it's like, listen, when you reach, like, at some point you got to surrender. You're just like, okay, that's it, man. Like, I don't want to hurt, the next day. Like, I was that guy who would slide in shorts and then, not be able to sleep for 3 days because your leg is throbbing. You get strawberry all the way down your leg. No, I'm out.
Kirk, this is a good line. We throw on our backs at the Vegas buffets.
Yeah, that's right.
I got 2 heavy ass plates, and then I'm like, oh shit, fucking limping back to the table. Can someone go get me a milkshake? I want to put up Jeff's comments because we are going to go back to football. So Jeff admits, like, okay, it's kind of out of nowhere. Since Andy Reid became the Chiefs coach, starting with Super Bowl 48, every Super Bowl has had either an AFC West team or an NFC team that played the AFC West the year they went to the Super Bowl.
And I don't understand what that means. I saw that one and I'm like, and that's important. Why? I do appreciate Jeff being like, well, piss on these 2 assholes. I'm going to do a sports topic. But that one, I'm like, no merit. Like, that's called coincidence.
No, that's a trend. That's a betting trend. Let's do it. Straight up betting trend. Goes back 8 years.
So that means what?
Jeff?
The Chiefs and Bucks, either the Chiefs or Bucks are going to get there. So how do you bet that? How do you turn that into money? Because the Bucks play the AFC West and the Chiefs are in the AFC West. They're not on the same side. They're on the opposite side. So does that mean what? You play them both and you split? Or what? I mean, like, what's the conclusion?
Oh, we'll find out. 7-year trend, he says. All right, this is one of the things I want to get into.
My frustration should not be with Jeff. Jeff, that's an interesting, trend stat. Steve,
Right.
How is that a betting trend?
I was being sarcastic.
Okay.
I can't right now. I can't speak and process. I'm losing it. So
Just throw out a washer and dryer at some point tonight.
I know, right? I love this topic that Blake is bringing up. Stats is in here with us. Adam Hill and I said this week that outside of 2 teams, every team in the NFL should call on Deshaun Watson for a trade. I also believe that the Patriots
Who are the
should
2 teams? Buffalo and KC?
No,
KC and
Buffalo.
KC and Green Bay?
That's it. KC and Green Bay. Every other quarterback is movable.
Or
Yeah,
old.
right.
Yeah, they're old, they're replaceable, or they're
or
movable.
they're not as good as Deshaun Watson. And I started thinking about the Patriots, and I'm like, fuck, man. I mean, if the Texans are going to trade Deshaun Watson, it's probably going to be for another quarterback, a young one, on a low deal, and try to get a bunch of picks. Whatever. Jets, Dolphins, come up with the teams. What the fuck do the Patriots have to trade? The Patriots only have one asset.
Belichick?
Yep. And I've run it by like 3 people, and I think everyone who hears it's like, what? No way. I'm like, Cesario was in New England. The preacher fucking quack guy, Easterby, started around the New England people. The situation for Belichick himself is fucking hopeless. He ain't getting a quarterback, and he's old as shit. Now, the problem is he would go to Houston, and I don't know what they would do at quarterback, but at least he goes to coach with other people he knows. I still believe Kraft is probably like, this fucking guy, pain in my balls. So why couldn't Kraft call up Cal McNair and go, we'll take Watson, we'll bump up McDaniels. You're getting the greatest coach in NFL history. Come on, Cal. And Cal McNair would be like, shit, man. I don't know if he has a Southern accent, but just be like, everyone fucking hates me.
What about?
I bet you my dad would trade for Belichick. Everyone's gonna love me. Yeah, we'll take Belichick for Watson. You have no other players, but go ahead. You got the greatest coach in the history of the NFL. Let's do it.
I mean, if you like this first year, I mean, doesn't it all look like Brady was most of the juice? Like I have said for a long time, I'm not sure there's any difference between Marty Schottenheimer and Bill Belichick other than Tom Brady. Early returns prove that to be correct.
Yeah, it's not been good. It's not been good for Bill.
No. Now, COVID. Well, everybody had COVID. Opt-outs. Everybody had opt-outs. Well, his were worse. Okay. I mean, that's the story now because he's the consensus greatest of all time, right? But after you go a little while, and if next year he gets guys back and they go 8-8, then what's the excuse?
Yep. Well, so I'm trying to unload him before everyone finds out.
Yeah,
Kraft.
it's a fair point.
Right.
It's a fair point.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen? Am I right on the most attractive situations are, Darnold's not so attractive because he's coming up in his 4th year, but if you could get a young quarterback that you like and the team has high pick, like Miami would be a dream. They get Tua, they get the 3rd pick. They could probably get more draft capital because the Dolphins have been building up draft capital. And I think the Dolphins would, who wouldn't go gaga if Who wouldn't go gaga to get Deshaun Watson as a quarterback?
All right, so Chiefs, Packers, Seahawks. Maybe I put Russell Wilson in that mix as well.
That's a good.
Here's the thing: like they went 4-12, right? I mean, doesn't some of that have to be on Watson? Watson does have an ability to create some tremendously negative plays. He takes bad sacks for big losses. So there is an issue there. Now that could theoretically be coached out of him, get a rhythm passing game going and whatnot. But the PFF guys say he's the number 2 most important player, the second most wins over or VORP or whatever their number is. So if listen, you got to do whatever it takes to get a quarterback. If you have conviction about Fields, I don't. About Mac Jones, I think he's going to be good. I don't know that I love him at 2. I'd love to be sitting at 15 and get Mac Jones. I'd be like, okay, this is a good spot, right? But like, I don't see Mac Jones as Patrick Mahomes. I see Mac Jones being maybe Baker Mayfield.
I see Mac Jones as slightly above A.J. McCarron. I think he's a 2nd or 3rd round pick.
Okay, and I'm fine with that. Yeah. Like, because I think Alabama guys are the hardest to judge because everywhere around them, everyone's winning the one-on-one battles. So, but if you don't have a conviction about a quarterback not named, Trevor Lawrence, then I think you got to be seriously interested in Deshaun Watson if you're the Jets. The Dolphins are an obvious landing spot because of the ammunition they have. Jets have a lot of ammunition as well. And so I think both those places are ideal. The question is, how low can you get it? Like, how much does he make it clear I'm going to be out, right? Do you get to the James Harden level where it's like, you got to deal him, so call me when you're ready to talk bottom basement? Here's
the thing. They may get there, and they've already blown it by they've already blown it by ruining the relationship and not listening to the guy and disrespecting him. And as who put it up there? Miller J. Vegas is talking about a no trade clause, Miami or nothing. I don't think it's there yet, but it could. And I don't believe that it's this team or nothing. I think Deshaun Watson is going to find there's a lot of attractive situations out there. So let's address this one right here. Maybe the Texans are like, we can't trade him to the AFC, which is stupid. What does it matter? But he can only go to the NFC. Let's look through the NFC teams, right? They might want him. Football team.
By the way, real quick before you do, and then I love this exercise. I'm all for it. But anyone who's trading someone and is worried about where they're going, and they're gonna pass up a potentially superior deal.
Yep.
Then you're a shitheel.
Yep.
And you deserve all the losses that you're clearly going to have. Okay, now let's go through it.
So Doug says the best trade is to Miami for Tua and a pick or 2. Nah, not necessarily. You don't know what people are going to offer. So football team. Now here's the problem with football team. I want Chase Young. Let's start there. Right? You don't have a quarterback that you can give me. So I don't know what they would do.
And they should give him up in a heartbeat. That's a no-brainer. Are you talking 1 for 1?
Oh, Watson?
Watson for Young 1 for 1?
No, I'd want more if I'm the Texans.
How much more?
I want their pick in the where the hell?
They're gonna be
the stupid playoff appearance. God damn it. The division they're 19.
Okay. 19 and Young, done.
I'd still want more.
How much more?
At least a future first, and then I'd have to look at the roster. Maybe Terry McLaurin. 2 1s, Terry McLaurin and Chase Young.
I would do. I don't think you'd have to go that far.
Okay.
I think you get down into the 2nds and 3rds. I do Young, this year's first, next year's 2nd, following year's 3rd, conditionalized up to a 1st if Deshaun Watson's great.
Yeah.
Conditionalize both the 2nd and 3rd up to 1st if Watson takes him to the conference championship game. And then that would be listen, I talked to people in the Chiefs organization before Patrick Mahomes ever played a game, before he even had a practice. I said, okay, he gave up a lot, and they were kind of defensive. And I'm like, oh, no. I'm all for it. Listen, I grew up in this town. We haven't seen a franchise quarterback ever in my lifetime. Lenny he was still playing when I was there, but no. I'm not negative on this. I'm just saying there are some people that are, and they say you gave up too much again. They're like, if he hits, no one will ever even remember what we traded for him. Steve, what did the Chiefs trade to get him?
I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, you don't know, right?
No.
Yeah, that's the point. It was like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Did they get the better end of the deal? They did. They traded with the Bills. They moved from 27 up to 10. They gave their next year's first round pick. 27, the Bills took Tre'Davious White, right? Who ended up being NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
They gave up a third, who's one of their safeties, USC kid. And then the next year's first, the Bills started juggling around with offensive linemen to move up to get Josh Allen. So the Bills did a pretty good job of initially in year one being called morons because they didn't have Patrick Mahomes and because Josh Allen didn't take off that first year. But they actually did a pretty good job of taking the resources and getting their own guy. But nobody in Kansas City sweats that deal. Nobody in Kansas City even remembers who the Bills took with those picks.
Yeah, and when I start mentioning a bunch of players, I'm being unrealistic. It might be one player and then a bunch of picks. You're not going to give up a bunch of players, and I'm not even sure if on the Texans I want veterans who are making money or due to make money. So,
by the way, anyone who is talking about acquiring JJ Watt, like, please do not report to the personnel department. Like, you do not acquire guys that make $25 million and miss half the games. Okay, that's not where you go.
What's his deal? Is he up? Do they have a chance to get out of it? Would the next team for JJ Watt get him on the cheap?
I'll tell you in 1 second.
Right.
Here you go. So JJ Watt, this year, let's see, future deals. Let's see.
Oh boy.
20
Yeah.
Next year his cap hits $17.5 million. There's no dead cap.
So you could just cut him, right?
You can cut him or you could trade him and get another. He's 32 years old.
The Raiders for a cheap price would be all over JJ Watt. That's a Gruden guy.
Yeah, for a cheap price, but I mean, it's $17.5 million is not what it was back in the day. But I'm going to tell you, these mega deals for defensive players are shit. Right? Offense wins the day.
Yeah.
And like, we'll see if I would not have done the Chris Jones deal. I would not have done the deal for Frank Clark. The Chiefs won a Super Bowl the last year, but like, we'll see if it ends up working out. I'm okay with it because the Chiefs are in 8. We got Mahomes cheap. We're going to do everything we can around him while he's cheap, get as much talent, try to win as much as we can now, and then we'll reload and try to make it happen. Okay, fine strategy. But I lived through the Eric Berry contract, the Justin Houston contract, and I said, these are not good deals. You shouldn't do it. Everybody shit on me. Oh, what are you talking about? Chiefs didn't win shit with those contracts. Nothing. $100 million to Justin Houston, more than J.J. Watt. The Texans have won what with J.J. Watt? Yeah. Why would you put, at the time, was 16% of your cap into one guy who's on the wrong side of the ball? Now it's down to 10%. Like, it's, the Khalil Mack deal was the best thing the Raiders did.
Well, the problem is
how much have they pissed in Chicago? Not a drop.
Yeah.
With Khalil Mack.
Problem is everything they got back for him, they kind of botched with the pick. So they've got a decently productive player, and I don't want to start getting everything wrong.
Well, but I don't want to go.
There was a combination of picks with Amari Cooper and with
with
what's his name there.
And I will say this, and it's not necessarily about just the guy that you took with the pick you got. It's having the multitude of picks,
right,
that allows you to cast a wide net. It allows you to draft upside, and if you hit on one of your 3 third-rounders, like the Chiefs when they moved Jared Allen, they got a first and a third. They got Brandon Albert in the first, and then they got another third-round pick, which they had 3 in that round, and one of those third-rounders was Jamal Charles. So you have a chance to throw a lot of upside guys.
This is classic sports radio. If you wanted to start taking calls on Deshaun Watson, right? Brady says Cofield offers Dak, Zeke, CeeDee Lamb, Pollard, and Van Der Esch for Watson in the 7th. All right. Alex comes in with Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt, and a 21 third to Chicago for Trubisky, Mack, 21 first, 22nd third. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. We can do 3 hours of phone calls on this.
Oh, yeah?
We're not doing phone calls, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Have a take. Don't suck. Let's go.
Let's do the show for me. I mean, I do love the potential trades, but like, I had a baseball general manager spell it out to me. You look at your team, you think you got 20 guys that are going to be big leaguers. You look at every other team, that you think there are 2 guys in the minor leagues that are worth a shit. So everybody always overvalues their own stuff.
Oh, of course. The other problem with the Raiders and the drafts not being good, the Raiders think like me in fantasy baseball. So Petro in an auction league, will I ever bid on Nolan Arenado? No. Because you know what? I'm going to get 2 guys or 3 at like half the price of Arenado, and they're going to outproduce Arenado. And then Arenado goes out and goes 45, 145. And the 3 guys, 2 of them who are 37, they then combine for more money in terms of what they make. They then combine for like 31 homers and 64 RBI. That's the Raiders. The Raiders were like, you know what? We're not going to go for a $17 million defensive end. But what we're going to do is we're going to give Carl Nassib, right? Carl Nassib's our guy. We're going to get a bunch of Carl Nassibs. So we're going to give him a 3-year deal at $775 a year and be in the hole on him, whatever that adds up to, 22.25 or something, right? We're going to give Carl Nassib that money, and then we're going to get another Carl Nassib. And they're going to those guys are going to have 20 sacks combined. And then by the end of the season, Carl Nassib is a healthy scratch on game day. You're like, all right. And now on the roster, as they're trying to get new defensive players to turn over the roster, like, fuck! We have Carl Nassib for $15.5 for the next 2 years. What were we doing? And I swear, one of the things that Mayock said was, I love the way we look getting off the bus. You're like, yeah, Carl Nassib is 6'7", 280.
Yeah.
But he's not good.
Yeah.
Like, stop.
I'm going to tell you, if you ever sign a free agent over the age of 26, like,
for big money,
it better be on a 1 or 2 year deal.
Yeah.
It's the NFL.
Yeah.
Right?
This is a good way to put it. Raiders think 4 quarters equal $1. It doesn't in sports.
Oh, I like that. That's strong. Not only strong hat game, strong takes.
Oh, really? Really? By the way, we brought up your name, and in a bad way. It was National Hat Day just a couple of days ago, and I mentioned the fact that you shit all over me for my hat game. How come Doug?
Me? I'm not talking about your hat game. I'm talking about Doug Croft's hat game.
Hey, last week you were telling me my hats suck, and I got to leave them back in college.
Your hats are ass. I did it in the airing of the grievances this year.
Yeah, you did. That's right.
I'm talking about Doug's hats. That's the guy can wear a hat. He's got a good look. Beard's trimmed nice.
Are you an ageist? Is that the problem?
I just know you.
I don't get this.
I can grab a hat back here. If your love of being able to reach back and grab a hat. Go sporting. I can go hat backwards. And do whatever we need to do. Right.
Now, we've already said it. You wearing a hat is ridiculous because you have good hair. So I did it. You know what? Thank you for doing the Festivus thing, because I got like a good 10-minute bit out of it the other day that we turned into a 30-second promo where I just talked about good hair, bad hair. I don't have good hair. I'm doing Trump. I'm swirling it. I'm growing it. I'm combing it over. All of that stuff. And I also I've said this a million times for the local audience, so it kind of gets old. But I also said, you're not telling me what to wear or what to do or what is I'm too old for. So I'll be 71 and I'm doing cargo shorts and hat on backwards. You can shove it up your ass.
Hey, dude, somebody put up there like, are you still coaching in cargo shorts and a hoodie? Yeah, I am. Next week I'll wear the grade school hoodie. I'm absolutely doing it. And the one, Brady, don't hurt yourself reaching back there. I already did. The shoulders are shot. That hurt. There's a reason why I went with this arm. This one will hurt less.
Let me address this one.
It's from my massive weightlifting records I set. Back in the day.
Clee Furl at 4 was unexplainable. So this one's interesting. Soren, for you, does it matter who went after? Does there have in that draft, right? Because everyone's like, hey, I think he's going to turn out to be a good rotation, more of an inside lineman. He needs to be like a 10 or 12 a year NFL player. I think he's going to be a good player. But at 4, you're expecting, someone dynamite. In that draft, do you have to find someone where you're like, that was the guy? That was the guy.
So I think no general manager can be analyzed based upon one draft, right? It's always about the accumulation of talent. So like when McCole Hardman was drafted by they wanted a wideout. They took McCole Hardman. They traded up in the second round to get McCole Hardman. With the last pick of the second round, DK Metcalf went to the Seahawks. And everybody was high on DK. Fans were high on DK Metcalf because he was a physical freak. So you're like, okay, how can you do that? You screwed up. Well, McCole Hardman is returning normal, average second-round production. He's not a chain mover, but he's a big play getter, right? So he does what they need. So if you're like, well, but you missed on Metcalf. Yeah, but he got L'Jarius Sneed in the 4th round, who's by far the best defensive back draft in last year's draft, and he got him in the 4th round. I mean, I think the rule of thumb is first round needs to start right away, second round needs to start sometime that year, third round needs to start sometime in the first 2 years, and then you need to find one starter 4th through 7th, okay? That's what you want. But if you look at a draft and the second is going to be a Hall of Famer and the third starts right away and the first is a bust, and then your 4th and 5th are both starters, like you don't throw that out. Like the key is to get 4 starters every year out of the draft. That's the key, wherever they come from. So you have a philosophy and you try to go get it. Listen, I picked Clemson to win the national championship and got shit on by Paul Feinbaum for doing it, because I love the defensive line. So I think Farrell is a good player. And I think there is something to be said by just having a guy that, like, if you look around and one year you go, there are a couple other guys that could have high ceilings, but they might be shit, and we need a guy we can count on, that's fine. But if you consistently are taking average guys and missing on the ceiling guys,
right?
No, you got to be replaced. So it's a big picture thing on Mayock. He does love the big school stuff, and that can be an issue.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. The jokes are already out there about Clemson players and Alabama players this year, and I've seen people mock them in terms of the mock drafts, whatever. They have 6 or 7 picks, and it's like 6 of the 7 are Alabama or
Ohio State
or Clemson or Ohio State. So let me Pro Football Focus, your buddies over there did a really good job. I'm going to be a simpleton, and I just want to analyze the draft from a couple of years ago, right?
Okay.
So they graded everyone out of that draft from a couple of years ago, and yeah, Cleve Ferrell went 4th, and a lot of people were like, "Man, that guy was slotted to go, 15 to 25. What are you doing?" So if you look at it, and again, we're going to stick with they needed a defensive lineman. It's not, this guy went in the 4th round who's fucking awesome. Like they're not taking
need drafts are like drafting up that high. You draft the best player available. Period. End of discussion. But go ahead.
Let's just go down from here. Right.
What year was it? 18.
Yeah. No, 19. So these are their reactions or grades so far. Ferrell at 4, regrade below average. Devin White, big name, right? At 5, linebacker, Tampa, below average. They weren't going to take Daniel Jones, 6th pick, average. Josh Allen, a lot of people point to the other Josh Allen. He's been average, so that would be the guy where a lot of people thought Josh Allen, as a true edge guy, was going to the Raiders.
Can I just say you undervalued Devin White? But go ahead.
I'm just giving you the grade.
I'm just telling you what reality is, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just giving you the PFF grade. So
okay. Well, PFF doesn't like Devin White. Okay, they don't like Devin White as much as I do.
Yeah,
I think Devin White's better than they grade him, but I think it's a fair way to do it. Okay, keep going.
Right. Hawkinson at 8, which was a ridiculous pick. You don't take tight ends in the top 10.
No.
Stop. Ed Oliver, they say below average at 9.
He was a no-show this year.
Devin Bush, Steelers. Now he's got an injury, below average.
I actually think he's a very good player. I like both the White and Bush. Both the Devins, I think, are going to be big picture good players. But okay. But I see your point because I'm looking at some average value stuff.
Right.
And no, and it's kind of like everyone used to hate on the Eric Fisher draft pick. I'm like, who did you want him to take?
Right.
Right. The Chiefs had the number 1 pick in 2013. There wasn't a quarterback. Everyone wanted to take a quarterback. We even had somebody who may have used to work on my station who said Geno Smith should go number 1. Right? That was his big rub. They didn't take Geno Smith, who didn't even go to the 2nd round, and clearly wasn't. So, yes, I think you're right to defend the Cleveland Farrell pick, that in context there wasn't that – if you're like, a DN's more valuable than a middle linebacker, let's do it. But I think actually I think both those guys cover better. And, Farrell's got to get after the quarterback. You can't go forward to DN and not get sacks. He's not a bad pick. He's not. He's not a bad pick based upon who went after him. I do think both White and Bush are better. Let's do it by approximate value, just out here on Pro Football Reference. So by approximate value, that whole draft goes Kyler Murray 30, and then why isn't that ranking it that way? Hang on. There we go. Okay. Kyler Murray 30, AJ Brown with a 23, he went 51 overall. Devin White with a 22, he went 5th. Wow. DK Metcalf 21, went 64. Elgton Jenkins, center for the Packers, went 44. He's got an 18. Then Daniel Jones, I think quarterback's overrated because Daniel Jones isn't good. Marquise Brown, Garrett Bradbury, Josh Jacobs, Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat was my guy in that draft, by the way. I would not have signed Frank Clark. I would have traded up to get Montez Sweat. Caleb McGarry, tackle for the Falcons. Gardner Minshew, 178. Dexter Lawrence, Jawan Taylor, David Montgomery, Nate Davis, Ed Oliver. And then you get the mix of Ed Oliver, Eric McCoy, Miles Sanders, Devin Singletary, Terry McLaurin, Christian Wilkins, Titus Howard, Max Sharping, McCole Hardman, Deontay Johnson, Max Crosby. What number do you have? 12? So he's down here at 12. So he gets down here. But, what's the difference between a 12 and a 15? He's in the ballpark. Right. And, yes, tip your cap that, Max Crosby's been great and was a little bit better. But, that's what I'm saying. In rounds 4 through 7, find one starter and some special teamers, and you've done your job. They went safe. So they either got to go safe all the time and never have a bust, or at some point you got to deliver the goods. And they went upside with Ruggs. They made him the first receiver. He can't suck. You can't go safe with Farrell and then go upside with Ruggs and miss.
Yep.
Because Ruggs' college career was not captain productivity.
Nope. Looks a lot like a DHB all over again. We'll see. Darius Hayward-Bay. That was a nightmare.
Fair point.
One more NFL topic, and then we got to close out with a goofy topic. I thought you had a great suggestion. Who is the pressure on this weekend? Who has the most to lose? Was that kind of the angle on this?
Either way, most to lose, most to gain. I always like, I think I said this last week, or I know I've said it on my show. I always like looking at it that way because it helps you define the history of the moment.
Right.
Like you said, you can even do it in the draft. Okay, who had the most? Well, Cleveland Farrell. The Raiders had a lot to lose in that because first draft with Mayock and whatever helps you define what's going on. So yeah, I think what's at stake here?
Who's got the most at stake is exactly how you said it, but I was on 7 screens away from that. Who's got the most at stake? I think it's a really easy answer.
Who?
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers was the guy I had in the last round, and I still think that's a very good answer.
Yep.
Because I think right now he's in the Drew Brees, he's in the 1 Super Bowl. 2 is everything. So if you said Andy Reid as a coach and Aaron Rodgers as a player, Jed, who works with me, came over. He thought Brady did because if Brady wins the championship here, then basically all the Patriot credit moves over to his side of the table.
Yeah.
So it's not just 1 Super Bowl because the Patriots shit themselves. Brady actually steals all 6 Super Bowls are all him. Instead of getting half the credit, he gets all of it. I thought that was a pretty interesting take.
Who's got the most to gain, Brady? Who's got the most to lose, Rodgers?
Yeah. He's a 1 seed again, playing at home, conference championship game. He needs to get his ass into a second Super Bowl. I like that. I think that's fair.
And, today on Cofield and Company, we're talking about ESPN's Ryan Clark, who played in the NFL, and Ryan Clark wasn't going off on Brady, but he's like, Rodgers is the best. All this GOAT stuff about Brady. Listen, I'm not hey, did you win Super Bowls or not guy, but when it's 6-1, come on.
Yeah. How about this? 4 coaches. Reed's got 1 championship, 2 Super Bowl appearances. McDermott's never been there. Arians never been there. LaFleur's never been there.
Wow.
Reed is the total offshoot. Usually speaking, if you're going to be a championship coach, you get there on your first contract. Reed and Bill Cowher are the outliers, guys that went at it for a while. But generally speaking, and, Belichick's kind of a different thing. His first contract with the team he was at. But you pretty much know whether or not you got a championship coach if he gets there the first time.
Interesting. Real interesting. Sorry, we're just getting more Watson trades. I love it. Yeah, and I'm not here to denigrate Aaron Rodgers. I think he's awesome, and from a pure talent standpoint, he might be better than Brady. He's when he's one of those guys, and I don't know how many there are like this, but he's one, and I guess Brady to a certain extent. But you watch Rodgers when he's really rolling, and it just looks like he's barely playing football. Like he's so fucking calm.
I agree.
Just dishing it. You're like, holy shit.
I think either he's been saddled with, that's why there's a lot for Arians. That's why there's a lot for Brady. Either Rodgers has had inferior coaching, the game plans are shit or whatever, or inferior general managing. He never gets the talent around him. But Brady's receivers have not been great, right? Or Rodgers is the guy that'll win you the big, koala bear, teddy bear at the fair because he'll hit all the balloons, but when, chips are down, Tom Brady's the guy who will win the game. I mean, there is something to the scoreboard part.
It matters. What happened with Schefter?
I hit Schefter with, who has that exact same question. Who has the most to gain? And, Schefter's a writer. You and I have talked about this.
Did he lock up?
Oh, so he's the ultimate writer. Which is frustrating, and I know there are people that were frustrated on the segment. I got a lot of feedback on the segment, and it's writers are trained to report the facts,
right?
And so when it comes time to step away from being a writer and give the opinions, they have a hard time, and so they don't want to give an opinion because they don't want to be wrong because they've been trained their whole career never ever be wrong, right? Well, but now we're in an opinion segment, and you got to be willing to be wrong. And so I asked him, who has the most, to gain or lose? Who has the most at stake is how I put it. And he was kind of hemming and hawing. I'm like, okay, let me help you along here. And I said, well, I think it's Aaron Rodgers, right? Because there's a big difference between being a one champion or two champion. I go, he's a guy that people think may be the best thrower of the football, best pure passer that ever lived, but he's not going to go down as one of the top 2 or 3 guys unless he wins some championships. And so I put it to him, and he's like, well, but I mean, Josh Allen, you don't think he wants to win Super Bowl? I mean, think about what he gains if he wins the Super Bowl. I mean, they all want to win. They all gain something by winning, but who gains the most? Who loses the most if they don't win it? I think it's Rodgers. Rodgers starts to be, Peyton Manning desperately needed that second Super Bowl. Desperately needed that second Super Bowl. Even though he didn't play well and was done, cooked, I mean, he's got 2 championships and played for 2 more, right? 4 Super Bowl appearances and 2 wins, that means something. Aaron Rodgers is 1 appearance and nothing else. I mean, he needs something else for the resume. Quarterbacks are judged by wins and losses in Super Bowls. That's reality. I mean, I think that it's for all of them, it's big because if you're this close, you need to cash. You need to get there at least.
Of course. Yes.
Once you get there, you need to win. But Rodgers is the guy who's put the most time in with the fewest results.
If we knew the way the Super Bowl was going to unfold between the Falcons and the Patriots, you bet your fucking ass before the game who's got the most at stake? Matt Ryan.
Ryan, yeah, 100%.
Didn't sniff it again. I love inside baseball, as we'll reference it, or inside radio questions. Brady's he's a P1 for sure. How about this one? Do you give a guest like Schefter a topic rundown, or is it on the fly?
No, it's completely on the fly.
All right.
I mean, I get him. We tape him every week because there's this little window.
Yep.
And we tape him every week, and so I get him on, and it's time to go, and got to get him out by a certain point.
Brady, what do you think? How do you think Cofield and Company operates as far as our regulars versus? Well, if Schefter's a regular for you, if he's doing it weekly. I'm curious how it comes off. If we just sound like fucking jackasses and we're.
Yeah, while you're waiting on that response, put Jeff's answer up there.
Let's see. Weird tension with Schefter. He's a bit of a dick. Maybe you're not getting my point, but pretty funny shit.
No. I mean, I listen. He is I've had conversations in the building, right, about this. He is a challenge, man, Jeff. I mean, you're hearing the same thing I am. Like, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit anybody. I mean, like I said, when I talk about kind of the writer mentality of like, hey, it's talk radio. Like, we give opinions here. Like, step up. And he is an information guy, right? That's what he does. And so I don't know that he's ever done a segment like this before.
Right.
You think about it, he's been all these years. And
I'll jump in here. He was, I don't know if he does anymore. One of the first places I saw him as a regular where they really pumped it up too was, I think it was on EEI. Like, he did a Boston regular spot forever. So he's done it.
Well, I mean,
and I'm telling you, the weird.
What year? What was that before Twitter, where like everything he knew he'd already put out there, or was it when like you're waiting for his column to come out in the Denver Post?
No. I think it was.
He could spill the beans on here's NFL news beforehand.
I think it was up until like a year ago. He might still be doing it. So I know. It was clear he had a deal because he was doing a weekly. I think it was the morning show on EEI. And I think so that must have been. I don't know if that was Callahan and the the guy with the alcohol issues, but whatever. And then Minahan, who had mental issues. But I'm pretty sure Schefter did that show.
I will say this. It's my job to make the segment entertaining and find the rhythm with the guest. I mean, it's a challenge, right? I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, it's a challenge because like every news he breaks is already on the TV, so I can't just say,
right.
Hey, here's your Twitter feed.
Yep.
So I try to go, okay, let's go to the next level.
I think there's two trains of thought on this about how you deal with a guest like that. One, not giving him a list and then just having it play out naturally can be really good radio. And like, clearly your listeners, it curries favor for you because people are, most often people are going to be like, hey, Petro. But that awkwardness can be a good thing. Putting someone on the spot can be a good thing. The way I do it, because I get really frustrated if I feel like someone is sucking and they don't know what's coming and they're not smooth, I get frustrated and I'm like, fuck this. Now I am going to give them a list. So to Brady's response over here, where'd you put it, Brady? Well, it's in the chat room. Regulars know why they're coming on. You're on the fly, but you don't set them up to fail.
Agreed.
I'll say many of my regulars get a list of the topics. So that's just the way I like to do it.
I generally never give a list of topics,
yeah.
But I will tell them if there's something that I think they need to know, hey, this is coming.
Right. And I've done that more recently than I used to do.
Right.
But
so I'm go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
It's just what I'm comfortable with. And by the way, Miller J's like basically a prep sheet with Ari. That's a shit show. Like, it's not, Ari doesn't do it. It's my responsibility. So go ahead.
So I'll say this, like, here's the thing. Others have told me, right? I don't want to sell anybody else out. The problem is he doesn't want to give an opinion, but he jumps in and interrupts you before the question's done. Right? That's what I get from people I trust that I talk to about the show on the segment with him, is like, he wants to finish the question and get going, but like, then there's no, well, why'd you interrupt me if you don't really have a strong opinion on it? And so it's an odd, I think he's going to do a 60 seconds on ESPN and he knows exactly what's coming. So to your point, like, right, I'm sitting here thinking, maybe I should just send him a list. Here's what we're going to do. But I'm also like he's so busy.
Yeah.
Like, because he is constantly answering his phone. Like, we tape him and there are numerous times that he has to stop and answer his phone, which is fine because we're taping. I don't give a shit.
Right.
And then we come back and we edit it up and it sounds like he didn't step away for 2 minutes or whatever. Right. And I've heard him like, oh, is it? I just want to make sure you haven't made a hire. You haven't? Okay. All right. All right. Great.
That's a challenge. I had no idea that was the case. That's challenging.
It is, but it's not in the sense that I'm on tape. Like, yes, there's probably a time I'd be like, what is this shit? No, I got it. Like, we're not the number one check, right? So go handle the number one check. I'm right here. I don't have anything else to do. If we were on the air, I'd make some jokes, do whatever. If it was happening all the time, or he's like, I'm out, it'd be a problem. We'd be like, yeah, we can't do this, but it's taped, and so we can do it, and it's fine. But it's just like, there's that. I don't want to burn any source, so I don't want to have a strong opinion. Like most of what you talk about in the news is negative.
Yeah.
A man shows up, goes to work, goes home, loves kids. That's not a news story, right?
Yeah.
Quarterback showed up, played great, GM smart. Like that. No, that's not the topic today. Like the topics are where it's failing. And so I think that's an area when you are trying to protect a lot of sources. I think it is a hard spot for him. He's clearly done tremendously well and has unbelievable resources, which I know there's a question about that. Why do you have him? Well, that's why. I mean, he's connected to everybody. He breaks tons of stories. I mean, I'm going to tell you, like, it's staggering to me how shit is just given to some of the national guys, just given to them.
Well, on the staggering part, Adam Hill's talked about this. The local Raiders media, I would say, breaks Raiders stuff. And this is not ripping them. I think it might be 10% of the time.
Oh yeah, because
according to Adam, the NFL Network has a deal, and you'll see one of the biggest breaking news guys on the Raiders is Rap Sheet.
ESPN and NFL Network break everything because I believe that there is an under the table deal that's not reported that they hand all the shit to them.
Which, by the way,
so they're buying the stories.
I've actually had some moron in the market, and he wasn't directing it at me, but he started a conversation about a month ago, and it was something on the Vegas Golden Knights. And he's like, man, I just wish some of the local media would break some stories. And I wasn't going to like tell him that, but I was kind of stringing him along, and I'm like, why? It's just like, well, I just think it would be a good thing. And it's a media wannabe. Like, you don't know anything about the fucking business. Right. You didn't make it. Shut the fuck up. Okay? And I didn't do that. Believe me, I typed it out, and I'm like, motherfucker. But I didn't do it because I'm like, I'm not shining a light on some war with someone who's insignificant. But I was like, you don't know. You're jealous. So if you're getting on people, it was something like, it's a VGK note and someone from NHL Network gets it. It's like, how do you think they got it?
No, but I mean, I do think
great.
It speaks to the journalistic problem in this country. Right. And that is, one, the people that create the news. And it's much, 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 much more important over on the news side. Right. Real country stuff that just want to talk to one outlet. Right. That's a problem. Both ways, both parties. It's not about one or the other. That's a problem. For us, like, hey, I'm going to give all this shit. And look, I'm going to tell you that covering the Royals and Chiefs and Sporting Kansas City, I got they're good organizations to cover. Yep. I have challenges in different ways, but they're really good. And right now when I'm making this spiel, I'm not going to say which one's better than the other, but it's amazing how the buying of information, when in reality, television rights used to be you just carried the game, and then you still did it in a journalistic fashion. Now, when you have a deal, I mean, trust me, I've had heat from partners like, well, why are you saying this? Because it's the goddamn story. That's why I'm saying it. That is
the dangerous part. When you're fed the stuff all the time, then the reciprocation is expected. Hey, don't fuck us. You don't be the first guy to address embarrassing situations. It's
I will tell you, the partners never get fed the story. They never get fed the story. And the problem, the decision makers of the people who buy the contracts, they're all salespeople, and they don't give a shit about the product. They just give a shit about the bottom line.
Right.
Now, I will say that does not seem to be the case with NFL Network, which NFL owns, and with ESPN. I think ESPN fights. They understand having people who break the story. That's why they go out and get Woj and get Jeff Passan and get all the guys who break the stories. They get that part, that they have the relationships, and Adam Schefter. They break all the stories. They get it. They understand it. But like a lot of the time, like local media partner deals, and call me out on it when we have one in our building again, they suck. Because you're expected to be beholden to them, but get nothing for it.
And just to go back to that, the little back and forth I was having with someone calling out the local media. I don't break stories. I never have broken stories. I don't give a shit about breaking stories. So That's why that conversation, Brady remembers it, and he was kind of wondering what it was about. I didn't want it to start looking like I was jealous or I was mad at him because like he was coming after me. And that was more about defending guys like Willie, who's in our chat room tonight and does our podcast every once in a while, Willie G and Adam. And like, you don't really, just because you think you could have made it in the media, you really don't know some of the behind the scenes stuff. Just to finish up on the interviews and the way to do them. And I know this is very inside stuff, but so I give lists to a lot of my guests, and like Willie was saying earlier, I'll find it here. Willie, he says we get the topics and then some from Steve. Then it is then we go with the flow. Here's the thing though, by me doing that, I'm trying to max out how good they sound, right? And I'm also you do a solo show, I do a partner show. I've done, not in recent times, but I've done interviews, and you can hear interviews like this all the time in partner shows where the guest doesn't get a list. The hosts don't really talk about what they're going to discuss, right? They don't have a flow, and you're like fucking all over the place. And I've actually had bosses here in Vegas who are like, hey, how come you guys start doing interviews and like you, Cofield, you don't ask like for 5 questions in a row? I'm like, because they're on something.
Yeah.
It's a flow. It's not, because I swear there are so many people who they don't think about the interview beforehand. They don't think about the interview during the break. They don't talk to each other. And then the interview is all over the place. You're like, what are we talking about here?
The worst is when it's a partner show and it goes back and forth, and the one guy asks, something about the defense, and the guy goes, how about the wide receivers? The guy goes, I want to go back to the defense.
Yep.
Well, why didn't you?
That's the sign. When someone has to say, I got to go back.
Yeah.
Then something got ruined with the flow. So I don't know. I think that's important. But I'll also say with my interviews or our interviews on Cofield and Company, they're very safe in a lot of ways because there is not that lack of comfort, and the questions coming from out of nowhere. So I'm not saying,
but I think, the whole, like, let me get this guy all pissed at me thing, you're never going to get anyone back. So if you have a good guest, why would you blow it up and never have them back? Right. If you have regulars, you treat them with respect. Like, I'm just like, it's like you said, like, do I want 50 million Twitter followers, or do I want to do a quality broadcast for smart people? I want to do a quality broadcast for smart people.
I like this. Miller J, didn't you just go back? Yeah, it's a back and forth conversation. It's not with a guest. There's a lack of flow on the show sometimes and also you guys are making comments, so I want to go back and get to some of the comments and finish the conversation. So
well done, Miller. Proud of
you. Let's see. Cofield. This might be just because I'm getting old and lazy. Cofield has let the company lead even more interviews and let them handle the reins, it seems like. So another behind the curtain. I might be doing 14 other things during the show. So I probably shouldn't do that, but yeah. Sometimes there's a lot going on. Sometimes the Vast Sound crew didn't get me exactly what I wanted, or the Vast Digital crew isn't handling the video the right way, or stuff like that. So, but you know what? Here's the deal. In radio, you do a little more than you had to in the past because the pandemic stripped a lot of staff. So you can sit there and piss and moan, or you can do it yourself. Yeah. So tough shitski. All right, let's close out on this. And thanks for sticking around because this is a long one. Today is National Cheese Day. We hit this topic on Cofield and Company. I'll have a question for you. It'll be pretty obvious here. Let's see who really likes cheese on National Cheese Day. Cheese in your refrigerators and freezers right now. Give me every type.
Bocconcini, mozzarella, Colby Jack, provolone, Parmigiano Reggiano.
Ooh.
That.
We have a short
happening?
show.
And Ari chimed in. He's like, what's happening?
I also have some feta and a little bit of goat.
I didn't know everybody had like 7 things of cheese in their fridge.
Oh, for
like
God's sake,
normal.
just say Velveeta and get it over with.
No. It's white American sliced cheese from the supermarket.
Ugh. That was it.
So what's in yours?
Mine? Oh, man, I might have to pull up the list here. I wrote it out quickly. Let's see. Off the top of my head, let's see. Cheddar, pepper jack, mozzarella. What's it? Provolone, the Parmesan. I feel like I'm missing one. Nothing super exotic. I think I had 5 or 6 types of cheese in all the different fridges. I also have some old rotted cheese because I'm a hoarder. No, I'm kidding. I don't keep the cheese. Are you a big cheese family? Is the wife a big cheese person?
We both like cheese, right? My mom didn't like cheese. I'm very thrilled. My wife, it's one of the things that brought us together is a shared passion for cheese. I don't have to, not put cheese on all the burgers, so they all get cheese. My wife is much more adventurous than I am.
By the way, Murray has 3 Parmesan packets from the airport Sbarro. Yep, that's the other one with the white cheddar. Or white American. I don't know what he had. It sucked. Yeah, it was white American. He's a nightmare.
We have 2 different Parmesans. We have the big canister, and then we have like the fresh Parmesan for like my wife uses for different things.
I was going to get that the other day at Costco, but I worry about things going bad. The SO doesn't do a lot of cheese. She's lactose intolerant, which I buried her for. Just fucking annihilated her on the air.
Okay. I have American cheese. There'll be no ball kicking because we have American cheese. It's a go-to depending upon what you're using. I have Velveeta slices.
Oh, wow.
That I will, when I'm like heating up broccoli, I'll throw some Velveeta slices on it. My wife has the block. We have block Velveeta for making queso.
Okay, that's good.
I have the string cheese for snacks.
Yeah, we have the string cheese too. So I left out string cheese and Swiss, so I think I'm up to like 7.
And we have pepper jack and Swiss usually. Wow. I'm sure if I went up there's at least one, if not both of those. Yeah, so I have another cheese down here.
Any cheese whiz that counts.
I don't have cheese whiz. I mean, I do like one of the things I like to do for a snack to be kind of healthy is the string cheese with some almonds.
All right.
I think that's good. And then I have shredded mozzarella and shredded Colby Jack. What was that? We go through a ton of Colby Jack.
You are a big cheese family. I'm impressed.
Yeah, we do, but we don't have any of the fancy cheese. We got all the poor people cheese.
This is where I want to go because not based on the better halves background, but based on your
Jack is the best we've got.
Based on your background, because at first when you said different kinds of Velveeta, let's put aside the queso, but I feel like Velveeta may mean that you grew up a little bit differently than say, let's see, Marcus, who says Fontina in his
Santiago, Romano.
CJ Cards fan has goddamn Havarti.
Yeah.
Jay Lawrence is coming over the top. He's not from there's no way he's from a single household, single parent household. Maybe he is. Brie, blue cheese, goat cheese, and Havarti. Come on, guys.
Yeah. It's single parent, just me and mom. Fighting our way through the day. Yeah. Oh, cheese curds, Wisconsin cheese curds, awesome.
Pretty
Fried
good.
cheese curds, even better.
Yeah. Championship picks before we get to more cheese. Are you betting both the favorites?
I think the Bucks are. I think the Bills would be the more likely dog. I think the Packers are going to rule, but yes, I tend to lean towards both favorites, which means I'm going to go 1-1. I like the Chiefs, but I can't be unbiased at this point, so don't put anything into my selection there.
I already bet the Chiefs 3, and I'm going to wait in game for the Bucks and the Packers and see how the game flow is going. So, yep, 2 adults and 4 kids, so we go through a lot of cheese. All right, I got it.
Huh.
That's Petro's situation. A lot of cheese.
Yep. There's a lot of cheese.
Kids like cheese.
Kids like cheese. They do. We even have the Colby Jack that in a block. We have it shredded and in a block.
My God. Actually, tonight I'm going to slice the rest of my provolone on my slicer, and I forgot to thaw the ham, so I got to do the ham in the morning. So, what's the problem? I just finished. This was my ham container. I finished that today as a snack. I'm all out of cheese. Before I buy more deli meat, I've got to get through. I've got ham in the freezer, turkey in the freezer, Swiss, turkey pastrami, and corned beef.
You're like the dad on Grumpy Old Men. It's butt cold, and I'm fresh out of beer. You're like, it's 50, and I'm fresh out of cheese.
If I got rid of all the goddamn couches or those laundry machines, the dryer, the washer in the garage, I could actually put in a deli case.
There you go. eBay and remodel.
Sure. I don't have any storage space in the garage, but yeah, a nice like 8-foot deli case. I can walk behind it, pull it open, have the gloves, do the slicer.
Yeah, well done.
Sorry.
How's the slicer go?
I did it real fast. I was like, it doesn't go that fast. It's dangerous. I'm trying to be really careful.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about it. We're talking about the OnlyFans page for the slicing, the deli meat.
It'll be good. I look forward to that. Yeah, I'll watch that live.
Have a kind of a beat up muscle shirt on, the apron, and then go kind of Jared Porter from the bottom down.
Good call.
People are marking up and be like, I saw Ween at the 4:23 mark, and then there was a ball slip at 8:13. If you watch it on this speed, you can actually see the whole thing, all the nuts and berries. Yes. Or this could be my OnlyFans page, the hoarders.
Yeah.
Or just
buried alive. Cofield, buried alive.
600